guys got any about the election committee? All right, hearing none, we'll close public comment. And the only item on the agenda is your election inspectors. The morning shift, 6:30 to 2. Brenda Powers is the chair, Sam Summer, Mary Bloxham, and Betsy Randall. The evening shift, 1:45 to close. Irene Schooks is the chair. Doug Sini and Thelma Chellis and Patty Drenth. Patricia.
Different.
What?
It's different. Yeah.
Different Patricia?
Yes.
My bad. Didn't know there was two. No,
Is
I'm
it
not.
different, Patricia?
It's not Patty Drenth that sits on this board, right?
Oh, it's Patty House.
Oh, Patty House.
That's
Sure.
right.
And then there's an alternate, Julie Chellis in the morning, Beth Cooper in the afternoon. Irene Schooks and Thelma Chellis are appointed as the receiving board for the election. The above inspectors, alright, so I make a motion to approve the inspectors as presented.
Support.
Supported by Katie. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Swear. Anything else for the election committee?
The
That I'm not aware of?
election is Tuesday, November 4th.
Thank you. Alright, any public comment? Alright, and that meeting is adjourned at 5:48. Minute and a half.
Good time.
Where does this go? So, I looked
We
it up
get
and I
that.
can't find it anywhere in the book where it was before, so I don't know if you can find
Okay.
it, I can't. This, which is in the general fund, that's labeled
Get
that.
from the state of Michigan. Yeah, let me look at that.
Or there was this, which is the liquor fund,
It's state revenue. For liquor and license fees.
and for, under, but does it go under the liquor fund or the general
It goes
fund?
under the
So
liquor.
under liquor fund, we only have state revenue and income fund, so then I
Yeah,
just put it.
yeah,
there.
that's all. Yeah, it just comes twice a year or once a year.
And I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah, because it's so infrequent. This will be the first time we've gotten this. It comes. Oh, yeah, it comes this time of year. Or no, usually comes, we usually get something. But yeah, that came from the state.
So I'm gonna put
Liquor
it
license fees, yep.
under your fund, okay, yep. I wanted to make sure before I posted any of that, but that's all right. Everything else I really got. Hi.
How you doing?
Good. I was watching middle school volleyball. Yeah, it's fun. We're all happy.
I left the boys in wet soccer field.
Oh, no.
Where, in Charlevoix or? Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Kate's gonna be picking them up nice and wet.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised they play if it thunders and lightnings.
They will if it's just raining. It was just raining up there.
Yeah, okay.
I would imagine now they'll probably, but they're done with practice.
Yeah,
So,
good.
the rain was just nice and steady, long enough to get nice and soaked.
And muddy, yeah.
So, okay, yeah, they're home wet. They bring a towel, they t-shirts. They're gonna need it. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Howdy, howdy.
Curtis, my neighbor Martha was called in. The bobcat came back this afternoon at 3 o'clock.
During the day.
During the day. It's bad, and it got like my neighbor's chickens. He said he saw the flash of the brown and it stopped. He said it was headed east.
Rich had him on camera back by the state land. Yeah, that's where he's hanging out.
What do you do? 6-foot fence?
I don't know.
would.
Told her to make sure she keeps buying birds. The bait stays up
Yeah.
there.
Well, poor Marv has been doing it. And then he's losing about like 16 and he's down to 12.
No dog around there though, is there?
Huh?
No dog around there, is
The
there?
neighbor has like 2 pit bulls, but they're, you know, they're house pets. They're lounging. They're not doing it for a bird.
Yeah, they're not scenting around and all that.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not leaving the deck. Yeah, they're just.
Thank you.
And all the things I need to do, I'm like, wolf urine. You
Oh.
can buy it on Amazon. I'm like, before I start mucking up the backyard, seriously, is that?
So did you see it?
I didn't see it, the dog
Mark.
did. But Marv called me today and he's like, Katie, that bobcat's back. And he had to go in and butcher one of his chickens because it
Oh.
took the head off one of his chickens.
Oh.
And he was gonna take it home. Because it was just still kind of flopping around, I guess.
Maybe that's what scared Rocky. He
Yeah,
dropped
like
dead.
Bobcat scared him to death.
We had our best weather went down a couple days ago, 4 weeks before Butcher. He was a big boy. Yeah, 4 weeks ago in the processor and he's dead in the field. Ah! No apparent.
No, nothing, because this
Yeah.
rooster, I couldn't really see anything. I guess it'll just break their necks.
No, he was probably the best weather we've had.
How
in
goes,
5
isn't
years.
it?
Yeah.
How are you doing today? I know, right, yeah.
Okay.
And what you see is, Alex, you can see where stuff that.
Represent.
I almost showed mine. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay, you're on here.
And I made sure to give you the print off with
Okay, so what are you gonna be on at training, because I'm gone.
29.
Okay, then.
We have it, we just.
First week of October.
So I talked to Daniel, but.
That always seems to be the people Matt would care most.
Yes,
Once in a while.
credit card date was.
Is this too long?
When was it done before the Lions start? No, it's not. Right?
Yeah, sure, I'll take
So
one.
we're gonna take buildings.
No, I don't have my car, my car, and my car.
It was closed on the third.
Your way, exactly. There's nothing keeping you here.
The third the following month, so fine, but it's due like the 23rd.
So I stood on the street, but the longer we were there, the switcher for that.
Because as soon as he started school, and we were like, I just don't see where that's going because I mean, like, even if he died or got accident,
One is the 10th.
I know, this is the 17th.
I recognize it. I hardly recognize it.
Because in our meeting swap before, and
Look.
I missed someone.
Good.
He said something about, you know,
It's been over 10 years, I think, since I've shaved my beard.
No, I don't want to get
Take it all.
No, I couldn't bring myself to baby face.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Although Lauren said,
Thursday night works, as long as we have.
you look so much younger. You don't even look like a dad. Oh, you don't look like my dad.
Yeah, it's the cheapest one I could find. And I went through, I went to Priceline.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I went in every thing I could find, and that was the cheapest, because even staying some other, or I stay somewhere else, which then makes it harder.
They watched it.
But the room itself,
Go across and then burned
it's
it.
only 120 or 170 or something, but then they have to go to the water park, and I'm like, but I'm not. So I have a water park now.
And then they saved because I was in the office and
This post is really dividing us. Huh?
Did you eat?
Did I eat?
I'm not usually on the left, so I don't know.
Oh, no.
Tornado warning.
Oh, lovely.
Well, good thing we're in the basement.
Here, Antrim County?
aren't we in the shelter?
I just about summed it up. I just-
Hold on, I just wanna call my kid real quick.
Who pulled the fire alarm?
Go ahead.
Yeah, if anyone wants to call their children.
Central Antrim County.
It's what?
Really?
Central Antrim County.
Perfect, that's where my
Located over Clam River near Bel Air, moving east at 25. So we should be okay.
that's where my kid's at.
He's playing a video game and completely released it. That sounds well.
Sounds like it's done. Back to the river, so, okay. All right, welcome everybody. It's 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna call this meeting to order. We'll start out with the pledge of allegiance and a quick invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you for another opportunity to come here tonight to do the work of Banks Township. Lord, we ask for your guidance and wisdom as we consider the matters before us. Lord, on a broader matter, I'd ask that you'd help us all to lower the rhetoric in this country, and both at all levels of government, and just remind us all to just engage in thoughtful, honest, open debate, the way we designed this country, and yeah, we just would really appreciate that. I know all leaders and people in public office would appreciate that. Lord, be with us all tonight and get us all home safe. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, make a motion to amend the agenda to add a public comment policy. Apologize, I forgot to add that last week when I was creating the agenda.
Is that last?
That would, I guess it would be last, yeah, unless somebody wants it somewhere else in the agenda. Any support? Support. Okay, Marv supports. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. All right, so then I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make the motion.
Support. Motion and support, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, and with that, I'm gonna open up the public comment section of tonight's meeting, the first one. We're gonna go with 3 minutes, please direct your comments towards the board, and, not to your neighbors, and we're gonna do 1 comment per person, so make your comment, we'll listen to it. We probably will not respond, this is our time to listen to you guys as, members of the public. If there's something that needs to be addressed afterwards, we'll respond to that, and, yeah, 1 time, and then you can, if you wanna hit us again at the end, you stick around. All right, and with that, I'll start. Dave, you had your hand up first.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dave Rasmussen. For those of you that don't recognize me, I'm still Dave Rasmussen. I guess my first comment was with what you just mentioned. Don't you already have a public comment
Policy?
policy?
Yeah, we want to amend it. Sorry. Yes.
All right. Zoning, what a popular discussion. However, anytime there's an issue, the people challenging it or trying to eliminate zoning tend to be in violation of said ordinance. There never seems to be an overwhelming crowd in opposition of it. Just a handful of family, friends, and the misinformed. Without that, people aren't moving to or fleeing Banks Township because zoning is too restrictive, or they can't have a motocross track, or rebuild their deck, or a gravel mine's preposterous. I would challenge you to take a look at the number of new construction and home sales in Banks Township over the past year, or past 5 years, despite the high costs. I would agree that there are many, or maybe some overreach in some zoning ordinances. I think common sense zoning is great for everybody. However, there seems to be a lack of common sense. There are processes when challenging the ordinance. First step is to contact your zoning administrator, which is Curtis. Ask for a meeting to discuss the topic. Second would be to attend a planning commission meeting, letting them know about the challenges you face. Potentially, the ordinances may be too restrictive in an overall negative way and could be considered for a change or a special use. Nothing is set in stone unless it's been handed down from higher government agencies. Many ordinances have been amended through the process of multiple meetings, public hearings, and feedback from our citizens. Sorry, not directing it towards you.
You're fine.
Third is to request the zoning board of appeals where a citizen can present their case before a panel to see if the variance can be granted. Some issues the Township Board and Planning Commission have amended are utility grade solar, recreational vehicles, accessory dwelling units, firearms training facilities, greenbelt, sand and gravel, nuisance ordinances, and animals. Without zoning and input from the public, we would not have to amend the ordinances to specify or to our specific township. Instead, some people just want to rid zoning because no one wants to go through the process and how it may affect the township and the county as a whole. We follow a master plan from the county and develop our own plan based on their guidelines. In this plan, the first goal is to retain and enhance the township's quiet, scenic, and rural character for future generations. It also says the township will encourage methods that accommodate the needs to preserving farmlands, farming, open spaces, and natural resources. Without zoning, there would be no requirements for a master plan. Although it is not a mandate, it is recommended communities have it as a guide for future growth and development. The methods include innovative zoning provisions that allow for the preservation and conservation of these essential lands. Maybe I'm wrong about all of this, and if it comes down to zoning, yes or no, on the November ballot, I just want our citizens informed at how it may affect them beyond their bubble or what they might not even imagine. Picture disruptive business in a residential area, a gravel mine next to a farm market, recreational marijuana stores, adult entertainment centers next to daycares. Maybe these sound far-fetched, but would be allowable if zoning were eliminated. Again, I may be wrong, but I try to inform myself as much as I can prior to voting on any topic, especially one of this magnitude. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I am under the understanding that there is no record available
of this township having zoning, and then in Antrim County, out of 15 townships, only 7 have zoning. A lot of this is being pressed by the previous board that we voted out. And it irritates me that there's a lot of bullying going on. You know, when you got a young man who has a piece of property that's over 50 years old, and all he's ever done is upgrade it and make it look nice, and he has a water problem and he fixes it, and now he's told that maybe he can't fix his roof because it's in the setback, that's not common sense. That's bullying. I am livid with the people that I thought I knew were friends, that this behavior goes on, and adults. And the people that come here and are losers, they lost in the election, and they continue to stir the pot. I'm not against zoning. You know, it all has its place, that's not what I'm saying. But you gotta use your brain and be sensible about it. And that has not been happening.
Thank you. If you don't mind, you give your name. When
Brenda
you're-
Stevens.
Thanks, Brenda. If you want to, you don't have to.
Gary Costa, resident of Banks Township. I just got a quick one.
Terry?
Terry.
Right, yeah, Terry Costa.
Not all citations are followed up on either. I've written several citations and I filed FOIA on, and they haven't even been followed up on it. So it depends on who you are, and that goes along with the bullying. I mean, I had a shipping container put on my property in 2015. I had a letter from the owner of the company, the plant supervisor, and the buyer of the company. I get a fine for it because it's parked in my yard, and I get a fine for it because you put an ordinance in 2018, 3 years later. I don't think it's right.
All right. Steve?
Steve Paraffin, Banks Township resident. I'm also associate broker for Berkshire Hathaway. And zoning's part of my life, so it's selling real estate. And there are pluses and minuses to zoning, so there's no doubt, and I can see benefits to not having zoning in a short-term period. But then, I've got 6 characteristics of why zoning would hurt a rural community like ours. And it as it's been mentioned, that it helps preserve our rural landscape, the small town feel that we have, and the growth in land use. Without incompatible development, such as which was mentioned, operations next to homes or farmland, this can quickly erode the peaceful open space and the character that the residents value. Once that's lost, it's gone forever. You can't get that back. I grew up in a Detroit area, and we were farms. And by the time I graduated, it was this literally cement metropolis. So you can't get that back once it's gone. We've got issues like incompatible land uses, noisy and polluting businesses near homes, high traffic uses on rural roads not designed for them. You've got unregulated sprawl, which can cause conflict between neighbors. The lack of structure can create nuisance issues, reduce property enjoyment, and ultimately depress nearby property values. We've got increased infrastructure strain. Rural infrastructure is often limited. Narrow roads, smaller water systems, limited emergency services, and without zoning to guide development, density, and location, you've got sprawling and hazardous growth. They can strain your public services. Unregulated building may exceed what schools, roads, and fire departments can support. We've already seen that in our community. The community may face unexpected tax hikes to pay for those upgraded and required repairs that we have to then go back and fix once we approve certain things. We've got uncertainty for property owners and investors. Zoning provides predictability. Business owners know what's going to go next door to them. They congregate together and they complement one another. Property owners know what to expect from their neighbors and the area's future. Removing zoning introduces uncertainty. People may hesitate to invest in their homes or businesses if nearby land could change to an undesirable use. Developers and lenders often view zoning as a form of risk management. Its removal can deter investment and increase costs. The threat to agricultural and natural resources is just another one. Agricultural zones protect working farms. and encroachment. Without zoning, farmland may be rapidly subdividable for non-ag uses, fragmenting the agricultural base. Forests and wetlands may be developed without environmental review, and the long-term sustainability of farms and resource-based economies may decline. That is our economy. That is what we live here. I don't know if you've, have you noticed sprawling areas of Traverse City, Kingsley, subdivisions? Those are coming, guys. If you don't think they're not gonna come here, think again. The price of housing will come down. It's starting to actually level out, and we're seeing building happen now. The equity people are having in homes, they're using to buy new homes. So yes, houses are expensive, but if people are bringing $300,000 in equity to a $500,000 home, they're only having $200,000 in mortgages. And this is what's happening in our communities. Once you've lost the local control, you've lost it. You've reduced your community control. The lack of clear land use often leads to disputes, lawsuits, and reactionary regulations. Developers and out-of-area investors may drive land use in ways that we don't reflect our local values. Zoning, when locally managed, is a democratic tool that reflects what the community wants. It's not the zoning that's the problem, and I'll agree with some of what I heard here. We need to be more flexible in what rules and zoning we do have, because we do have to accommodate for the future. There's no doubt. But if we don't have it, it undermines the rural lifestyle, the quality of life that we have, it introduces land use conflict and uncertainty, and it ultimately can weaken our infrastructure, agricultural, and long-term planning. Something I know this community has worked really hard on is that long-term plan of being open space to preserving our waters. It's why we all live here. If we don't do it, and we don't keep rules in place to keep it that way, it will eventually erode. There's no doubt. So I'm not talking to you guys, I'm talking to you guys. So please keep this in consideration as our futures depend on it. Our families that we want to raise in this community depend on it. And I don't want to raise them in Traverse City. I don't want to raise them in Charlevoix. I could do that. I wanted to raise them here. It's a better quality of life. It's a life I want to continue in this community.
Hey, Steve. Next, lady in purple.
Patty Wiltie. I'm a bank resident. I've lived here my whole life, all my family. I don't have fancy papers written out, but I can tell you I am against zoning. Control, control, control. How many times did I hear that from you? No, I don't want control over my property. You want to talk about the agriculture? I have 25 acres that I want to leave to my daughter when she retires, who lives in Utah. Well, she can't build a house on it because it's agricultural and it's only 25 acres. But I can't leave it to her to build a house? That's what I've been told. I'm trying to make an addition on my house right now. I went to the building department to get my building permit. I can't get a building permit until I get a zoning permit. So I got the paperwork to do the zoning permit, but I have to measure from my house to the center of the road and measure all the buildings on my house, or on my property. That's what the form says. Now, what does a chicken coop have to do with the addition I want to put on my house? It shouldn't have anything to do with it. So, like I said, I don't have a fancy paper with everything I want to say, but I'm here to say I'm 100% against zoning.
Yes, ma'am.
So hi, Mariah Koska. I'm a resident of Banks Township. As I recall the paper going around, it says that we spend $250,000 every 5 years on zoning. So what I want to bring up is that house on Church Road. You guys were there, the zoning guys there, what was done? Nothing, not a thing. Thank goodness it was sold and the new owners are cleaning it up because it's starting to get there. As a matter of fact, stopped and talked to the guy today and they're not gonna do anything because he's cleaning it up and I commend you for that. But that's it. Agreed, I don't want zoning. I don't know if you all have been down Old Dixie Highway, but there's a trailer on top of the hill. Did anybody know that?
Can't even see it from the road.
Can't see it from the road at all. But I continue to get tickets because my neighbor doesn't like my yard. Nobody else can see it except him. I've only got one. I know exactly who it is, okay? This is ridiculous. I have been harassed for years and years. And I absolutely don't want zoning myself, because that allows him to harass me using you guys to do it. And you've done it for years.
All right, thank you. Next, Paul.
Paul Mechanowitz. Thank you all for voting to repair my road. They finished the work and it's beautiful. It's super flat. They used good equipment and did it correctly. Thank you. It was in shambles last spring.
I hope it works in the spring.
Yeah, so too. Thank you. The zoning, so July 21st, 2025, we were all in this room and there were some nice folks that gave good points about why we have zoning. Those are good points. I got very curious. I didn't even know about zoning until this whole deck thing with my family, whatever. So I tried to understand it more and do some research. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take a drive through the 8 townships that are not zoned and just kind of see, expecting to see some solar farms, some meat factories or whatever, trailer parks. But no, it's just like here. It's beautiful. It's just like Banks Township, you know, they're a little blight, everybody's got that, but you guys have blight ordinance anyway. Anyway, so I figured, you know, I'm gonna come back, I need to understand more, because people are really passionate about zoning here, the ones who love it, really love it, and what it is, did men fight and die in a battlefield to obtain this document that is used to turn good neighbors against each other, or, you know, what is this, what's going on? So I figured the best way to do it is to talk to the community, so I started a little team. We wrote up a little petition, and basically the petition says that by signing this, we are encouraging this board to remove zoning ordinance entirely and see where it happens. I was expecting people to be running me off their property with shotguns, and that was completely not the result. 97% of the people that we knocked on their doors have signed this petition. We only did it for 1 week. We started on September 11th, and we were, you know, greeted with open arms. Pretty much, you know, met some really nice neighbors, and anyway, so we ended up with 248 total signatures. That's not all of them yet, but out of those, 40 of those people were Banks Township taxpayers, not residents. They couldn't vote in an election. And 6 people did not want to sign the document, one of which did not want a pig farm next to their property. Her husband signed it anyway, but don't really, you know, see the good. So there it is. We did a petition. What else are we gonna do? You know, I just see Central Lake and Echo. It's beautiful country. I don't see mass traffic and solar plants and all these things all these hypotheticals. So I don't know, common sense. If those communities are the same as they were 50 years ago, what makes us any different? We're all here. We're all gonna retire here. We're all probably gonna die here and be up at Banks Cemetery. But you know, we're not selling our land to start urban development. So here we are. Thank you.
Hey, Paul. Jesse.
My name is Jesse Anderson, Banks Township resident. I know we're talking a little bit here about zoning. We talked a little bit earlier, I know Steve mentioned about planned growth and unexpected planned growth. What planned growth do we have? We talk about this growth that we're trying to do in this township. What do we have that's planned? Even in this room here talking, it's very one-sided. Or I shouldn't say one-sided, it's two-sided. You're either for it or you're against it. And if it were my deal, I personally would vote it out. But I know I can't speak on behalf of everybody. What I would like to see happen is it be put on a ballot so we could actually be able to express our opinion and determine for a fact that either Banks Township wants to be zoned or doesn't want to be zoned. I can't speak on everybody's behalf, but to put it on a ballot to where, since from my understanding, it never was, I would sure like to see it put on a ballot. So if at all possible, if by means of getting it voted on is to say to repeal it, I'd like to repeal it. Thank you.
I thought. All right.
Should I read my
Oh,
letter?
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, you
Okay,
can read the letter.
I have a letter here from Rob Essenberg. He dropped it off at my house yesterday because he couldn't be at the meeting tonight. He says, Dear Banks Township Board, in regards to human relationships, it seems predictability is an important factor. Zoning helps with the predictability. One can build a house and know, because of the written plan, that a noisy factory likely will not be built next door. Likewise, one can build a noisy factory and be likely certain that neighborhood complaints about the noise will not shut down the plant. That predictability allows for confident action and common understanding. Unfortunately, I'm out of town visiting my nephew on Monday, the 22nd, so I will not be able to attend Monday evening's discussion. Discussion and debate, point and counterpoint are important to consider. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and service to Banks Township. Thank you for reading this in my absence. Best regards, Robert Essenberg. Yep.
All right. Now that's been read, anybody else? Good, okay. I will respond to a couple of those items real quickly, just because I don't like when things are thrown out there and we don't respond. When there are actual accusations. Brenda, to your comment, Pat was never told that he couldn't fix his roof. It was that if he tried to put a third story on, that would be expanding the non-compliance, or the non-conformity of the house. He's free to take care of his home. In fact,
But he couldn't put a door in, couldn't fill that door in, because you guys got told he couldn't put his entry back up.
no, that's not true. He could put his door, he could fill the hole if he wants, because that's not increasing the non-conformity. So right now, his home is too close to the road. He's within the setback from the right of way.
Which was there for 50 years.
Yes, that is correct. Well, the house hasn't been there that long. The basement has been for that long.
Right,
But
but
the home
nothing
hasn't.
changed.
I'm sorry?
Nothing changed. That was put there,
Yeah, except the size.
and he bought it, so
except-
why wasn't it in his title insurance that he was in violation?
I don't know, he can take that up with his title company, but what I will say is that there was no problem if he wanted to rebuild his deck. The deck that was rebuilt was bigger than the original one, and we have photo evidence of that. The new deck is bigger.
But it
and
also carries away from the road, so now it's not as close to the road as it was.
Actually, it's closer to the road. It is absolutely closer to the road. There's, like I said, picture evidence of that, and that increases the nonconformity, and that is why had he gone to the building department to get a building permit, he would have found out that he needed a zoning permit to make sure that everything was square. He would have talked to the zoning administrator and found out that, no, you can't put a 10-foot wide deck here, it has to be an 8-footer, and here's why. And that all would have been explained, and we could have saved a lot of heartache and money, potentially. I don't know what the end result is of this whole thing, but, I mean, Pat, you can respond to that. I did bring your name up, so I feel free.
Pat McCanowitz, Banks Township, and you hear about all this deck, that's mine. Ours, sorry. Alex, you did tell me that if I did my roof, my best option would be to put a second layer over the top of the first one, because if I took the first one off and I found rotting roofing boards, I couldn't replace it, because it's considered.
Then you definitely misunderstood me, or I misspoke. I apologize. I'm gonna apologize, assuming that I was wrong. That is wrong. You could have definitely fixed your roof
And as
boards.
far as the door, when we were discussing what we're gonna what's gonna happen, and, at the time when you guys left, it was the deck's gotta come off, that's the last I heard officially from you guys. But I asked, well, if this gotta come off, having a door in the middle of my wall looks pretty stupid, I'd like to fix it. You said I can't because it's considered construction, that part of the house is inside the setback.
We never said that.
No, you did, you said to seal it off from the inside and that's it.
That is not true, Pat. That is not what we said.
You said that.
I'm telling the community, that's not what I said. You can say that I did. Y'all can make your own
Should
mind.
have just reported him harassing you.
Harassing?
It's.
I was harassing because I was following, okay, I'm.
Point of order.
Hold on,
Point of order.
done, we're not doing this anymore, okay? I'm responding to a couple items and that's the end of it. So I've responded to the roof thing. You are more than capable and allowed to replace your roof, your deck to the same size that it originally was. I know that you put a ton of money into the deck. I got it. But you are allowed to replace things. That's what's called a nonconformity. I would highly encourage everyone to read the zoning ordinance. If you have questions about this, it's very clear at right at the beginning about nonconformities, and you can make up your own mind on whether or not, what we have to do about that. There's also extremely limited options for this board and what we can do at this level, at the planning commission level, for the zoning board of appeals to be able to grant variances. I've asked the attorneys, can I make this easier for people who need variances like this? Like, it makes sense, but no. The state of Michigan says, no, these are what has to be in your zoning board of appeals steps, and that's what you need to do. Unfortunately, those cannot be changed, so we're stuck right now unless the planning commission decides that they wanna decrease setbacks.
Can I make one more point?
Sure.
As far as you telling that, if I would've just put the same size deck back on, when you and your Curtis left that day, it wasn't to that point, it was the deck has to come off unless the lawyers say something different.
Okay.
So as far as I know officially, it's the deck has to come off, not that I could've put it back on the same size. And the deck that I have put on is closer to the, farther from the road than the old one was. The stairs came out the front, which put it about 14 feet away from the house.
If you would've built it, okay, if you would've built it to the exact same shape, yes, you would've been at the same spot. But right now, it actually does encroach, the bulk of the deck encroaches further into the setback, therefore increasing the nonconformity. So my apologies for the lack of communication. That was part of the whole discussion about please send me some photos of the original deck so I know how big it was. Obviously, something got lost there in the communication. My apologies for that. But that's where we stand. If you want to rebuild it to the original specs, and I've even worked with, I think Jesse was on the phone with me. I've talked about this deck a lot of times, and I've tried real hard to come up with ways outside the box to make this thing work. Including telling Jesse that what you could do is go to the building department and say, hey, all this is disturbed earth, these new posts are outside of disturbed earth, and therefore it would meet the requirement at the zoning board of appeals that it's not of your own doing that this is bigger. Remember having this discussion, Jesse?
Can I speak, or?
Yeah, or nod, whatever.
No, I would only love to talk once, so.
Well,
we did have a conversation about that and explained to you that due to him having to take all the dirt out of there, that a guy can't put the posts back where they were.
Yep.
So we had to put the posts where they were due to current code, it has to be undisturbed soil.
correct.
So.
That's why I said to take that as your angle of attack.
Correct, but just a second ago, it wasn't that at all, it has to be right back to the same size, and it can't be the same size due to where the posts are.
Okay, the wording of again, please feel free to read the zoning ordinance. The wording of it says it is a non-conforming use, it cannot be increased. It can be replaced, but it cannot be increased. And one way that you could actually accomplish the zoning board of appeals is to say, look, the building code does not allow me to put the posts back in the original place. I put them outside of that in the non-disturbed earth, so that I would meet building code. And I think that, I'm not on the zoning board of appeals, but that may be a thing that would allow the zoning board of appeals to say, yep, you're right, it's not really of his own doing. So that satisfies point 3, I think, if I'm remembering the steps correctly, and therefore you could say, yep, here's your variance. That's an option for you. Okay, so I hope that we've covered the deck situation adequately. I'm not getting into a back and forth on this, but I'm gonna respond to 2 things. Church Road, that was a dump, we agree with that, and
Are you talking about the trailer?
yes, and we have been out there.
May I speak?
Sure, you enforced it, go ahead.
I got a trash hauler from Bel Air myself. I convinced him to come up on a Saturday. I told him I would be there and I would help him load the truck myself.
And I did too.
So we did there, so I'm not gonna hear that. It
Was
took
that
a
the
long
gentleman
time,
that
it took a long time to address.
He's responding to
It
your
took a
complaint.
long time to address that. I was over there several times to the resident who was very uncooperative. I ended up talking to Rob Essenberg, who held the contract on that property, to try to put some pressure on the situation. And ultimately, we ended up with the cleanup. I took part in that personally. That is not my job to do.
Absolutely.
I did that because I thought it was the right thing to do to fix that situation. Because you know what? I didn't want to hear any more about it. I wanted it over too. And one other thing, since I'm talking right now, to put an addition on your house, only requires that you do not encroach on the setbacks. And whoever wants to do that and wants to go through the process, call me. I will help process the zoning permit to put on the addition so that you can go to the building department, because that's what they require, and then you can proceed and do your addition. So that is false information that I'm correcting right now. That's not how it works. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I don't know about the 25 acres, why that would be a issue. I don't know where you heard that you couldn't build a home on 25 acres, but we'll figure that out. Please call us, okay?
Just put that all in the notes and then I'll use your notes.
What notes?
Just
It's the
call
zoning
him.
permit.
That's his
Call me.
job.
That's
He
me.
is hired and paid money by this township out of your
Let's not
pocket
make something
to
that's
help
not
you,
there.
okay? Call him. It's on the website, his phone number. Give him a call. He would gladly assist you in getting through the township zoning paperwork. And finally, I'm gonna address Mr. Kauska's complaint about the storage container. You put the storage container on there, it was found in violation by a judge. I'm not doing this back and forth. I'm gonna tell all, I'm gonna tell.
In 2015.
I'm telling, stop it.
You come after me in 2020.
Stop. I am telling the community in response to your accusation.
Tell the truth.
You were fined by the judge.
Crookedly by Wemling.
He's not even the judge. Anyway, whatever. You were fined by the judge for shining a light in your neighbor's into your neighbor. No, it's not. Look it up. It's in the court report.
Okay, you'll see.
You were found in violation of the zoning ordinance on lighting, and you were shining a light directly into his kitchen and his bedroom. That is why you were fined. He told you.
That is hearsay.
All you had to do.
Proof. Hearsay.
All you had to do, Terry. I'm
Speaking
gonna
hearsay.
adjourn this meeting in a
That is
second.
hearsay. You're speaking hearsay.
All that was required. I'm letting everybody know. All that was required on the storage container was that he filled out a zoning permit. Piece of cake. He did that. That's the video that's on YouTube that's been circulated. Was him filling out the zoning permit to Curtis and his $50 to satisfy that requirement from the judge. And the fine that he is complaining about is because of the lighting issue that the judge found him in
Since you discussed my video, the 6/28 before that is when he wrote me the ticket.
Anyway,
7
moving
months
on.
Earlier, he said he wasn't there.
That's the end of public comment.
And
And we move on to the approval of the minutes. The approval of the minutes from let's do the 9/9 special meeting first.
Support.
Motion, support. Any discussion on those ones? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Who made the motion?
Marv, Richard
All right,
supports.
give me 1 second, please.
All right.
I just need a second here.
You need the sunglasses, front lights taken down too?
I might.
She does sometimes suffer from migraines, so the fluorescent lights.
No. Who made the motion?
I did.
Marv.
And who?
Richard.
Richard, thank you.
Okay,
Now, go ahead.
all approved, or we all voted yay, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, and then we're on to the 8/18 regular meeting,
I have two comments.
okay?
Section 8, instead of it saying while retaining setbacks, it should say where county road right of way exists.
Where?
I'll just fix this.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so instead of while retaining county setbacks, replace that with where county road of right of way exists.
Section 15, I missed that in the motion. I don't know how to word it. Marv said, you made the motion, then
Correct.
Marv said, I would like to make an amendment
Yeah,
to the
we're gonna
motion.
split it with the village, but we had an
Yes.
amendment by Marv that was approved to make sure it crosses Bridge Street, which we know
Section
was not the case with that, proposal from Payne and Dolan, and that's why we had the special meeting that we just approved the minutes for.
Gotcha. Okay, good.
One more item on 2B, so under public comment from Jerry, Ralph Hines, his name's spelled wrong, there's an H to it, I think we're good up there.
Okay, number 21, under suggested Essex Road, I have not repeatedly been asking Bert Thompson for a 5-year plan. He used to give us 5-year plans, so just, I haven't been
Yeah,
begging
I
him for
don't-
plans, just say that
I don't,
Bert Thompson used to give us 5-year plans.
you can put,
yeah.
Alex has been repeatedly
Oh,
asking
you've
for
been
it,
asking?
yeah.
Okay, 'cause I haven't talked to him, I'm like, I don't remember ever asking him.
I would say someone said repeated.
It was me,
Okay.
I've asked him for
Okay.
that multiple
I
times.
just, do you want me to leave that in there then or take it out?
So Alex has been,
Yeah, you
Okay.
can,
the supervisor.
Alex,
Okay.
yeah, supervisor has repeatedly, so you take out Ben and just put supervisor at the beginning after the comma.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
All right, we have a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Marv moves, I'll support it. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose the same. All right, Jairus.
I'm Jairus Rubing, I'm your county commissioner. Couple updates from the county. With the Conservation District, has hired Mike Merriweather to manage Antrim County's forest for many years. And Mike would like to slow down starting next year, so our administrator and the board is looking at redoing his contract where he would work directly for the county and he would just do forest work. He wouldn't be involved in invasive species so much anymore. I mean, he could still report it if he saw it, but basically he would be about half-time. Earlier this year, he was pretty instrumental in getting some emergency cutting done in, over on the east side in Mansalona Township and Star Township, where we had really bad damage from the ice storm. The trees needed to be harvested right away or else they weren't gonna be good for anything, and in fact, they could pose a fire hazard, so I'm happy that he's looking forward to continuing to work with our forests, even though he wants to start moving towards retirement. Our county sheriff has been using license plate readers. There's been a lot of drug activity, especially in the Mansalona area, also a little bit in the Elk Rapids area. And they found that a lot of license plates with known drug activity that come from Muskegon or Detroit, if they have a license plate reader that scans them heading north, when they get to Antrim County, they scan them, and we have a canine dog whose name is Zeke, and they'll run him around the car, and they've been getting a lot of methamphetamine and crack cocaine lately. Been a lot of discussion lately with our operator of dams, Leslie Myers. She's been working on putting together a special assessment district for repairs to our bridge here in Ellsworth, the Belair Dam, our hydro dam in Elk Rapids. If you remember our engineering, our hydro study that we did for the chain of lakes, the Elk River chain of lakes, it showed a number of places where if we could improve the flow, we would have a lot less flooding. And a lot of these places need some dredging, and they haven't been dredged for probably over 50 years. So she wrote a little something. I had a meeting with her this morning, and the administrator, she wants to make sure that she's issuing a special assessment correctly. So she would be doing, and I quote, "An abstract title search is a thorough examination of public records by a professional abstractor or title company to reveal the complete history of a property's legal ownership, including all past transactions, liens, encumbrances, and other issues that could affect the property's title. This process creates a condensed summary or abstract of this history, and the whole goal of her doing that is so that every person that's charged an assessment actually has lakefront property or what she calls secondary access to the lake, which means they could, there's a number of associations where 5 or 10 people own a piece where they can access a dock or a boat and use the lake. And she's been doing a lot of work, meeting with Charlevoix County, Kalkaska County, Grand Traverse County. The Elk River goes through all those. 72% of The Elk River chain of lakes is in Antrim County, but those other counties have a fair number of lakes and would also be included in the assessment district. Kalkaska County, the commissioners have already signed on to hire our dam director, Leslie Myers, to be their advisor for this project, and she's looking at doing the same thing for Charlevoix County and Grand Traverse County. This next meeting, the county medical examiner will be making their report to the county commissioners. They have the important job of deciding which cases of people dying need to have autopsies or not, and if there's possible crime, they work with the county sheriff to determine that. So, that's all I got.
I had a
Yeah.
question for Doris. So in street talk, is the county looking at putting a tax on lakefront properties to deal with water issues? Is that a new tax we're talking about, special assessment?
It would be a special assessment, and I did ask how many years and how much,
And nobody gets to vote on it because you can levy up to how many mills for special assessment? So who do property owners talk to, the commissioners, who do they?
you talk to all 5 of them, because we're all gonna be voting on it.
Okay, so that's what's coming down the pike, a new tax for property owners on lakefront properties in Antrim County, okay.
And Leslie will probably be coming here to give an update. She
Next meeting.
She
Yes.
gave an update last week at the Central Lake Township meeting, and they had some similar questions,
Mhm.
and,
Okay, due to lake access, okay. So that's gonna affect a lot of people in Banks Township.
and also it will affect government property, because the DNR property, Central Lake, the village owns Thurston Park, they own a lot of, lakefront there, and they will not be exempt from a lakefront tax.
Well, our park's on Lake Michigan. It's just gonna be in the lakes, or is it gonna be all?
Elk River chain of lakes, so it would
Okay,
not be like
It won't
Michigan.
be, it won't be. Interesting. Okay. Thanks for the heads up.
Yep, you got it.
Is Jerry here? Oh, yeah, let's see.
Oh, Jerry's on vacation.
Oh, okay. I think it else here, give a report from the village, so if you are, raise your hand. Alright, and, we don't have Under Sheriff Lazar here tonight, so we've got the, sheriff's report, if anybody's interested in what was with the town, we have it here for you. Got 64 total calls, biggest ones are traffic stops and driving complaints, 911 checks. Treasurer's report.
You should have all gotten a copy of the receipts, fund balances, nothing too exciting. Getting our constitutional revenue sharing, you may have seen the very scary email from, like Michigan Townships talking about the cessation of, statutory revenue sharing. We get constitutional revenue sharing, so we're not in danger of having this huge amount of funding taken from our annual budget. American Tower went up a little bit, still getting interest from Michigan Class. Julie, is there anything in the bills that's,
I paid
Out of
the, state taxes now. They're due the middle of October before our next meeting. So that's the biggest. And, Bob's payment, when you see that, that is his new payment plus retro.
okay, good, so
Yep,
he
back
got,
in July.
okay, so he got a retroactive
Yep.
increase.
We had a inspection on the lift.
Did it pass?
No. That's the P, that's the P. I have to pay for him to come back.
What's wrong with it?
Couldn't find the paperwork. And we couldn't find anyone to ask where the paperwork was. Found it after he left, but we didn't know he was coming. All of a sudden, a guy just showed up and wanted to see the paperwork, that we keep it up to date. And then last week, that guy actually, a different guy, the guy that's supposed to, came in and maintained it. So because he wasn't gonna wait around for us to find it. So now the paperwork's where I know it is.
I have a question about, on the attorney fees. What is this fees for land division? What issue is that? Fees for land division? Is someone challenging the fees for land division?
No, I think it was, I know it
No, I
was.
think,
Yeah.
it's my question,
Yeah,
probably. I asked if, the land division ordinance covers the land combinations as well. And a member of the public had asked about us removing that fee, and so I asked for clarification, and that's the
that's what it is.
letter that I got from them regarding that.
I just wondered, because I had not heard any kerfuffle regarding land divisions.
How far down on the bill is it?
Pretty far, almost a ton.
Yeah, it was that. It was responding to the letter that we were in that the resident thought we were in violation, which we're not. So,
Okay.
but no one was challenging it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion to approve and pay the bills?
I would move that.
I'll support it.
All right, any discussion? All right, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay. Zoning administrator report.
Richard will repeat what I said at the planning commission. Couple issues up in the air right now that I'm gonna need some clarification on, whether it's from the planning commission, or whether it's from you guys. Something that just came up, we talked about it briefly at the planning commission several months ago, having to do with, the, parcel size in agriculture and how in the, schedule of regulations, there's a minimum size of half an acre. We've talked about that a little bit. Richard, you remember that? But there's also a footnote in there that says, per our zoning, you're allowed only 2 splits per 20. So in other words, you can have 10 and 10, or you can have one that's as small as a half an acre, and then have a 19 and a half acre. But that's all you're allowed on 20 acres, okay? So I called the attorney the other day, because this is gonna be a problem. In interpretation, when you split, if someone splits 10 acres off their 40, no problem, right? You can split 10 acres off that, right? You got a split. You got a person that buys that 10. What happens when that person that buys that agricultural 10 and wants to split it into 2 5s? Now you've just skirted your whole deal, right? Now that no longer applies. Once you split that 10 off, you're gonna split it again. You're gonna split it, if you got 4 splits, you're gonna split it into 4 2.5s? I mean,
I understood that the splits are gonna go with the parent parcel. That's the state law. That's not our zoning.
Well,
The
it's,
state law.
I called Nicole,
Mhm.
there's gotta be some clarification on this,
Mhm.
because the 10 that's recently been split off,
Mhm.
the listing agent is telling buyers that can be split into 2 5s. Now, if a realtor tells a purchaser something that isn't true, that's not my fault.
Right.
If it comes back later and it's like, I don't know who told you that, but that's not accurate, I just need to know what's accurate. So Nicole, I called her on Friday, I said, I need some clarification, we need to know what, in a situation like this, how does it play out? Because if that's the case, then you might as well throw out that 2 per 20. Cause as people start splitting up their ag land by what's allowed by law, and now you got another, smaller piece, and that's gonna get split up, and then you're gonna be right to where you don't wanna be. According to your master plan, according to wanting to preserve that ag property. So, I'm just laying it out in front of you guys, cause you're the board, and that's a parcel division thing, and that's a township board issue, not a planning commission issue, right?
Did you
So,
talk to Bob about this, cause he's got
I meant to, but it was Friday. and I didn't.
decades of
Right.
experience on the county level.
Yep,
of
so
doing-
I'm gonna try to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
But I need to know, cause I'm kind of the front line on that, or when the
Right.
parcel, when the paperwork comes through, it comes to me first for zoning,
Yep,
and, you know, and if it all looks good to me, I pass it on to you.
yeah,
But if I see one of these, we haven't had this issue up to now.
no.
That's why we kind of pulled off earlier at the
Yeah.
planning commission level, because it wasn't an issue, and I thought, well, let's not make an issue where there isn't one,
Yeah,
right?
and the other
Uh,
thing, it did the person who sell, a lot of times, we've seen a couple of these, Amy saw, where somebody did not grant the rights to split. So then you buy that and you're told, I can split it, but the seller did not grant you those rights, and you got 10 years to wait before that resets.
And everybody asked me, can I split it? So I don't know.
I don't know, if you comply.
I'm not the keeper of your
If
records.
you comply with the
I
state
don't,
law,
yeah,
you
that's
can-
not up to
yeah.
me. In fact, one that did come through, was, some sort of an affidavit, first time I've seen it, basically that stated, it's a paper that states that you have the splits.
Yeah,
And I've only seen that once. I'd like to start seeing that on everyone. Again, because I don't want it landing back on my lap. Okay? You need to prove that you have the splits there. Okay, that's issue number one. And I'm gonna wait to hear back from Nicole for clarification. And I don't know if that's something you guys are gonna have to eventually act on or not, if we need to adjust some things. Just be aware that that's on the horizon. Second thing is this whole talk about setbacks and changes. Is that on your agenda tonight?
Oh,
Okay.
that's with the
That's-
planning commission.
That's with the planning commission, right? And to change an ordinance, when we went through this a few years ago, soon after I started, and it had to do with the storage of RVs on vacant land. That wasn't allowed by our ordinance. The process for amending that was the landowner or the parcel owner has the right to go to the planning commission and seek a change in the zoning. All right, there's a form for that, there's a fee for that. The person that wants the verbiage change has to write the verbiage change. So when this landed on the lap of the planning commission at the last meeting, or the meeting before, whenever it was, that's really not, I mean, I'm not saying that they can't do that, I don't know the full extent of the process. If that's within their purview to just do it, maybe that is.
It is.
Okay.
So the township board, I read this today because I wanted to make sure I knew it before I got in here. Township board can make a motion to say, planning commission go look at this. The planning commission itself can make that motion to
Okay.
approve it and do it, or if that isn't happening, then the.
So in this
the
case, the
applicant-
citizen came forward because the planning commission hadn't saw fit to act on that. So that was the avenue for the landowner to say, hey, I'd like you guys to consider this change, and here's the form, and here's the money, and I want you to go through the process of doing it. So, that whole setback thing is, and that's gonna affect the deck deal. It'll affect a lot of things, like I said at the planning commission. If you change that, depending on how much you change setbacks, a little, a lot, it's gonna change how the relationship between, or with different properties as to whether they're conforming or non-conforming, or they're no longer non-conforming. But that's gotta be that's gotta get addressed, okay? Cause, you can't expect me to, well, what you can expect, and what I should do, is, at this point, since it hasn't been changed, just start writing citations when there are violations. But trying to be reasonable and use common sense, I've been holding off on some of that. Okay, so that applies to the setbacks. The other thing that came up at the planning commission was the whole issue of duplexes. And where they might be allowed and the changing, I mean, they all saw, the planning commission went through this whole deal of, well, okay, we can, let's work on doing that, and that's not the right, again, not the right procedure, as was evidenced at the end of the meeting. And they had to, you know, withdraw the motions and et cetera. But, what do you want me to do? I mean, I should just say, I'll guarantee you, if I was working this job downstate, there wouldn't be any empathy. There would be a fine, and that's it. And I'm sorry the fine, I didn't write it, that's just what it is. When I worked in hospitals, if we had a violation with a fire marshal of the state or the health department, I couldn't just claim whatever as to why it was, I'm sorry, here, if you don't fix it in 30 days, you're either gonna get shut down or here's the fine. No ifs, ands, or buts. But I'm feeling a little bit in a box, because I'm a resident here too. I don't wanna piss people off, but some people may not understand that it ain't me, it's the zoning administrator that's trying to, you know, keep watch on what's written. So that's a biggie. And from the feelings at the planning commission, I sense that there was a lot of support to do that, to change that duplex situation in all districts. Again, I don't write it. You guys can do whatever. They can bring to you whatever they want. You guys can vote whatever you want. I got no play in it. I'll just tell you what I think, but I got no say in it. So whatever you decide, you decide. But it's gotta get decided. That's my point. Okay? And that's all I got for you right now.
Thank you. All right, is there anything you wanna add to that, Richard, at the planning commission report?
Yes, it does correspond with what Curtis just said. But let me start with, we worked on a master plan a little bit more. We expect to see the complete new master plan at next month's meeting. We are awaiting a status update from the township attorney on the soil extraction ordinance. So nothing further was done there. As Curtis alluded to, we had extensive discussion about setbacks, and we could not reach a consensus, so that was tabled until next month. And then we also spent a lot of time on the Dave and Donna Harris non-compliant duplex situation in the CR zone. We passed a motion to allow multi-unit housing in all zoning districts. That would ultimately resolve their issue, but we haven't really dealt with that issue, whether there's going to be ramifications in the meantime, because that's going to be a long-term, quite a process if that goes through. Obviously, there's a multi-steps for that to take effect. But in the meantime, they're non-compliant, and I don't know who has the deciding, who's gonna decide if anything. Curtis
Well,
is
it's up
on
to the
hold.
zoning administrator to administer it. I mean, that's
But you
in,
want guidance.
what's that?
You want guidance.
I want guidance. I mean, I can pull out the fine book and figure out, you know, I'll talk to however it has to be done properly. But, you know, fines have been issued before in this township, not that long ago, for activity that wasn't allowed, and fines were issued. So, I can do that. I'm just treading water here, but I'm not gonna tread water forever. I don't think that's right to tread water forever. You know.
But if you tread water, it's gonna, like Richard said, it's gonna be write the language, hold a public hearing, send it to the county, send it to the board. We're talking 4 months.
I know.
Minimal, if there's no opposition.
Okay, that's all I need here.
Anything else, Richard? All right, fire department, Mark wasn't able to come tonight, but he said really the only significant thing they had this month was, they assisted in a search and rescue in, Fisherman's Island State Park with, Charlevoix County, Charlevoix Township, and they were successful in finding that individual, so it was good. Good on those guys, good on that. Well, I guess I have village on here twice, my apologies. Tina, anything with the DDA?
We had a presence at the paddlantrum. There were 201 paddlers. It was the biggest one
Nice.
that they've had so far. And as far as local turnout, we had more locals that not only came but stayed.
Yeah.
So we had that pavilion full, everybody was eating from the food truck, the music was great. And it got a little bit bigger this year. We're really hoping that it'll take, it'll just continue to grow and that people will just come out for 2 hours and just really enjoy it. It's really a very pretty thing to see. When all of those kayaks get lined up on the water, it's just really it's a nice little festival. And we are gearing up for trunk or treat. Trunk or treat's always been a big hit. So come on out and get some goodies, wear your costumes. You know the date.
I know, actually, I was gonna ask you
Are
what's
they
the
doing
date.
the 31st?
October 31st.
Oh, thank you, okay, all right, I do know the date.
Okay, thank you. All right, ambulance authority, that continues to be an enjoyable place to be. We got a new director, he's doing a great job, he's working really hard. He's doing the best he can, he's got a bunch of good ideas that, the guy's aggressive, and wants to find ways to generate revenues over there. That's the good part. The bad part is we're really light on personnel because of all the turmoil that's occurred over the last year and a half or so. And we're burning through cash on lawyer fees, partially because of drafting the contract with the new director, Joel. I thought he was coming tonight, but he might have gotten called out. So that costs a fair amount of money to get that done, and the personnel over there, the staff, voted to unionize, and so we're dealing with union negotiations, which 2 lawyers from Detroit, drive time, sitting around there making bank. It's really denting the cash flow over there. And then on top of that, our biller decided she was gonna quit about 6 weeks ago. So we had 6 weeks of stuff that hadn't been billed. So we've got that, I think, squared away. I have a regular board meeting on Wednesday night, if anybody wants to come, 5:30 in the EMS building over there in East Jordan, so.
Speaking of cash flow, are they gonna make a payment to us soon for is that coming in October?
It's coming in October.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay, well then, yeah, if that's what the contract said, I thought it was in the next year, but maybe not. It was October, I guess. Yeah, it'll make the payment will get made, I imagine. I don't know, I'm only 1 vote out of 6, so we'll see. I'll do my best. But,
do we wanna, is that anything we need to vote on to give them grace?
it'd probably be a good idea. But,
So you,
we could wait until October if you want to and see how things are going after we get some more of the billings done and,
Okay,
but,
okay.
yeah,
When's your meeting?
it's the 2 days after this one. It wouldn't hurt.
the clerk and the treasurer are confident that a payment is due already in October.
Yeah, that's right. They're right. I just forgot.
I mean, we're not going after them, but.
It's still precarious. I don't know, there's a lot of people over there trying to do their best to keep it upright, but,
What is
I
the
don't know.
payment?
I'm not a fortune teller.
What's
so.
the payment schedule?
4 payments, I think.
We lent
Right.
20,000 at 3 or 4%.
4, and it was gonna be 5,000 in October, 5,000 in April, I think.
Every 6 months then?
Yeah, it was every 6 months after that, we're $5,000 plus the interest. So, think about that one, mull it over. Yeah, we are all of the same mind that we wanna pay back the townships and that helped out, first. That's our, because we owe $92,000 to the vehicle fund that was, taken out to keep things going before I was on the board. And the vehicle fund's fine because it's so limited in what you can use it for. The new millage allows us to also use it for equipment, but it's, very limited in scope. So that's solvent and fine, but, and if anybody sees, we bought a new ambulance, that's why, because it's a bunch of money that can't be used for anything else but that, and so we've upgraded an ambulance, and, so that's where we stand. If we've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'll do everything I can to answer it. Any correspondence?
Some letters that I gave you guys. One was from Beckett Rader about the village's master plan. I gave you the newsletter from the Township Paper Codes Network, which I also put on the website. And then we got another letter from the American Tower.
So on the American Tower thing, do we, I mean, I don't know, I've bounced this back and forth, and, do we want to have our attorneys look at our contract? I mean, I think Kevin made pretty much a bulletproof contract. Maybe we don't need to, but I wanted to bring it to the four of you. Do we want the attorneys to look it over? That is one of Catherine's specialties, but,
To look it over for what? To see if it's
I don't know.
not
I'm
watertight,
just
to
putting-
see if it could be better. I hate to pay her $500
I don't wanna pay her
to
just
read
to
it.
look at something, no,
Right.
I certainly don't wanna do that. They keep peppering us with this, and I don't wanna take pennies on the dollar, which is what this is.
Mhm.
They've done this every year since we.
Since you put it
Well,
up, right?
they do it multiple
Yeah.
times.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it up, so.
No, we're good.
I'll respond.
You'd have to offer us like a paving of Essex Road or something.
Even that, I don't know if
It
that,
would-
I don't
well,
know,
it would
that'd be a
like
pretty good
4
return, I
million.
guess.
I mean, 4
Yeah.
million is, we're getting 100,000 a year.
Yeah, that'd be
It's like
probably
40
worth it.
years, so
Be a fair trade.
I don't think they would do it.
No, not a chance.
But if they would, that would tell you that that contract is worth a heck of a lot of
Yeah,
money to let go
exactly.
of for only 4 million.
For sure. One other quick thing under that section, Jairus mentioned invasive species with the forester, and that sprung in my head. There was a individual out on Lake Michigan who thinks that they've got Phragmites again out there. If anybody lives out there and is concerned about that, or seen any, call the Conservation District, Antrim County Conservation District, and they can help you out with identification and remedy options. All right, on to the old business, property review. You mentioned that plot markers are not necessary. You talked to Gary Mortensen, so I think we're good there. All right, tree removal in the park.
So I talked to Dylan, and he is already cutting a deal and having lower prices because he's local, we're local. So Ralph Hines prices, I don't know if you guys remember for what Jerry gave for the township or village stuff. Ralph Hines prices for the park, grinding, dirt, and seeding is $3,000. Stump grinding at the monument and on Eaton Road at the Ellsworth Cemetery is $400, and he is not willing to remove the small shrubs along the front. He said his machines will tear it up. Dylan will do the park for $3,500, the stump grinding and the tree removal, seeding, dirt, all of it for $1,800. in November. We'll remove everything in November, seed it in the spring. There's 2 dead trees in the park.
Okay, so for $500 more Summer Solutions, we'll do the tree removal along the front. Right? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, I forgot to write this here, cause I printed it and I hadn't heard from Dylan yet.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry.
Five. To cut down the tree, grind it, dirt, and seed.
He's $500 more.
Okay.
Julie, say that again, please.
I didn't write on the thing you have in front of you. So what it should say under stump grinding near monument and tree removal along the front for Summer Solutions,
Yeah,
should say $1,800 for all of that,
okay,
with seeding.
but
With
it's
bringing in topsoil and seeding.
okay,
So 2 trees were cut down at the monument in the Ellsworth Cemetery, cause the trees were blocking the way of the monument and the flag. So those, Brian cut those down. We need the stumps ground up, and then dirt and seeded, and then all those shrubs along the front pulled, and Ralph said he won't do it. So Dylan said he would do all this, the tree along the front too is the cedar by that, there's a building there's a really big cedar, and he would remove that too.
okay.
So all of that for 1,800, so just the trees at the park are 35, everything else at the Ellsworth Cemetery is 1,800.
I'll make a motion to hire Summer Solutions to do the work.
Okay,
I'll support.
thank you.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay. Anything else in that vein?
Nope.
Katie, how's the?
Wait, I do,
oh,
I have
sorry.
one question.
Okay.
You guys can, I had a guy call, he was looking for his great-grandfather's grave, there is no grave. His grandpa died in 1914, and I found where his dad's sisters would be buried. He wants to put a headstone somewhere for his great-grandpa. Alls I can read on the death certificate is that he's definitely in the Ellsworth Cemetery. I just don't know what to do for him. Like, I feel bad, but there's nothing. I talked to John, he said all the records from that time were burned in a fire. And even if they had it, that the grave digger at the time, if he had it on a map, he just wrote an X, that a body was buried there, so you wouldn't know who it was anyways.
Wow.
So I don't know.
I'm sorry to interrupt, did they look at the old map?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's a Vander Ark. It's, his name, the grandpa's name is Henry P. Vander Ark. And the kid who's calling his kid, he's not a kid. The man who's calling lives in Georgia, his name is Ken Vander Ark. So I don't know.
Did you say when?
19
That person died?
1914. He was in his 20s, he had one son, his wife died.
My great aunt was Rena Vander Ark, and she was married to Henry.
Different Henry, there's another Henry buried in.
But I thought, but that's not time-wise.
No,
is that
there's a
right?
different Henry there. I walked the Ellsworth Cemetery, the Atwood Cemetery, the Antrim City Cemetery. There is no Henry P. Vander Ark. Cause I went that route too, saying, like, if it wasn't on the map and we missed it, was it in the cemetery? It is not. And Gary Mortensen said that anytime that they see where looks like a grave or body maybe, and there's no headstone, they just fill it in with dirt because there's no marking and, well, you don't want it to sink in, so. So I don't know if we can do anything for him. I would like to do something for him. You know, can we offer him to put a headstone
By his
somewhere?
sisters? By his dad's sisters?
That would be it's his grandpa. That would be and to get a hold of these people that are there, cause there is open spaces by them. You know, is that?
But they're already purchased.
But what does our cemetery ordinance say? Are you talking about multiple monuments on one grave?
No, so like his sisters, where his sisters are buried, they own, I would have to look back at the card, if they own like 4 graves, there's an empty grave next to them. But our ordinance, we've got 40 years, so if they're all still alive and they still might use that, you know, is there anything we can do for him?
I don't know, does the ordinance say anything about multiple markers? I mean, there must be some way to do that, cause we could do, cremations and have multiple
I mean-
cremations in one grave.
Are there any lots for sale that you can put next to it to put a,
Not next to
even
it.
if it's an empty lot that you just put in?
We would have to get a hold of like his relatives, family, and see if they'd be willing to do it. There's no one, the available ones are not by where the family's buried.
I mean, you could certainly buy a grave, put a headstone, and there's no reason you don't have to put anybody in there,
Right.
right? You don't have to have a, you don't have to have a body or cremains in a,
So do I try and get a hold of the sister's family and see if they were gonna sell one to
that
him?
he doesn't have access to them?
I asked him.
'Cause do you wanna get in the middle of like
No.
the family thing? That is a
No.
very bad idea. I would just tell him that he could buy a lot
Somewhere.
and put a grave there, and that could be his place that he comes to talk to great grandpa or grandpa.
Great grandpa.
But I would not get involved with the family.
Great granddaddy, as he called him.
Okay, yeah.
Alright, I will offer that up. Okay.
Alright, Katie, where you at with the soil sampling?
Soil sampling, well, we're not getting it for free, and we certainly aren't getting a grant because we don't have a 5-year rec plan, so you can't get any grants for a 5-year rec plan. But Julie Lowe from Eagle did give me the name of, someone out of Traverse City and someone out of Gaylord that will do testing, soil testing for a fee, not for free. So if we would like to pursue that, I have a name of, Traverse City, Mavi or Fishback, and then Sagasser and Associates are out of Gaylord, and these are people that she recommends, so if we wanna pursue it, do you want me to get quotes from these people to see?
I guess.
Okay, I'll do that, I'll
Let's
bring
see
that.
yeah, let's see where we're at.
Let's see where we're at, and they may be $2,000, or maybe $40,000, we don't know, but I will get quotes
Okay. That work for everybody? We got a problem with that?
from the people that are recommended out of Traverse City and Gaylord.
Okay. Yeah, to that point, we're kind of at a standstill with the whole railway thing, so because of that, we're holding
Well,
off, but
Did you ever get tax overlay notes? She promised us that when she was here via
I did
Zoom.
not, I apologize.
She
That-
promised she
it's been
would
a
give
busy week.
overlay to sort of give some overview and clarification, because there is a lot of confusion as to what reverted back to the property
Yeah,
owners.
I will take that
So if she
away.
could get
That's
us
my
tax
takeaway,
overlay
yeah.
to say, oh, we own this in fee, and this reverted back to the property owners.
Julie's been doing a bang-up job working on the website, and if you wanna add any update on that?
We meet with them again on Wednesday. We had quite a few pictures from Tom Mann that we got his permission and put them up. We talked about possibly if we could put it out there for residents, and I don't know if we do it as like a photo competition, like if residents wanted to submit pictures to put on. It's definitely gonna look different. We're gonna have some calendars on there. I talked to Jan for hall rentals, so people can see what's available and not available just by looking at that. We got Adobe, which was on the bills. So all of the forms will be fillable forms. We've already converted them for the new website. They're not on the current website. All the forms are fillable.
Can I ask you where you're at with credit cards for people that wanna pay their fees for permits?
No.
We're not doing it, or I was told that you were working on that, is that not at the place?
Maybe.
we're
Yeah, not right now. Right now, just,
I was
I know.
told that you were working, I just wanted to know the status,
I
that's
mean,
all.
I use
Me,
point,
I
I
told
use
them
point and
that.
pay for the way.
huh?
I use point and pay for all the credit card payments.
Point and pay.
They're a third party, so we do already have an account with someone named Point and Pay.
Point and pay?
Yep,
Okay.
very easy for me to get online.
So that lady could have paid her taxes.
Yeah, there's a QR code on your
I
tax bill.
told her that.
You
She
scan
wasn't-
that, you scan that or go to the website, yep, you can
I
pay your
told her that
taxes.
she wasn't okay with that.
Okay, yep, but yeah, you can pay online and you can pay.
And you use
for-
one called what?
It's called Point,
In pay?
the letter N, pay.
Okay. I'll look into it.
I've used it for years, it's a good system, and good communication,
Cool.
Okay.
fairly, straightforward, I don't have issues with them. They're in
Reasonable
Florida,
fees.
so when there is a hurricane, their customer service
Do you know
is
what their
down.
fees are? Like
Uh,
Square's fees
yes.
are pretty high.
Yes, it's 3%, it'll be
Okay.
a $3 e-check and 3%.
Okay.
So, I don't know that you can really beat that, but you might be able to, there might be
Do
places to beat
you,
that.
so like, and I know for Square, if you have to, which side you'd have to type in a credit card. Usually if you have to type in your credit card, you have to pay a higher fee too.
Okay.
But if that 3%,
Yeah,
if
'cause
you're
the rate
typing
is
in
higher.
at,
3% is pretty standard for, like.
well, and if you're
pizza
typing
places.
in at 3%, that's lower than Square's,
Okay.
so,
Okay.
cause I use
will look into
Square.
that, I know that is something I would like to accomplish.
People
for-
can pay their land division fees, anything,
Yeah, any fee,
Let me know when it's out, that's all I need to know.
Which there's checks the overall.
got it.
Okay.
Alright, anything else with the website?
Nope.
Okay.
Hopefully at the next meeting, you will be able to show everyone.
Okay, cool,
We had a little snafu.
sounds good. Alright, 6 Mile Lake into Bridge Street. I don't know, have they, I just got back from Florida yesterday, so I haven't.
Oh, yeah, they're at
They
it.
were working.
They're working it now?
They peeled away the shoulder, the section beside the pavement,
Okay,
filling that in with gravel today.
okay,
And they did peel away the excess on Pleasant Hill Road there. So
okay,
they went across the road,
alright,
covered the,
crown all of it,
yeah,
okay,
so they're working on it and busy at it.
awesome, next month we should be cutting a big check. Alright, anything on the 2026 road projects, anybody have anything in mind that they wanna set down?
Essex Road.
Essex Road.
I have a text on Essex Road. Let me pull it.
Thanks, what is this road you speak of? I'm not familiar with
I'll
Essex
draw
Road.
you a big map. I'll take you there.
A text from John Roth today. It says it is in the budget as of right now. I suspect it will come to be in the end. So
Nice.
he suspects it's gonna happen.
Well, we'll see, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Don't know till it's done. This is government.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a $2.5, $3 million project. and-
Probably 4 at this point.
Well, it might be, I mean, it's gonna be a lot.
I would use it all the time. Just because.
Yeah.
Alex, sorry to interrupt you, but I called the county the other day on Peoples Road,
Uh-huh.
cause where you fixed down in the low there, had a tremendous amount of water going across it again.
Okay,
They didn't get there for 2 days, so I don't know, but, I mean, your money's washing away, guys.
literally, okay,
So, literally, so I just wanted you to know what's going on there.
thank you.
So,
Unfortunately, the
Essex Road.
the culvert, Eagle is gonna force them to make that culvert on an angle instead of straight across that road, and it has to be a special design of, that's like really wide and low, and so the price on that is extremely high. So, but I will call down there and see what we can do to try to open something up. I mean, that's not the dams that are causing that, that's, beaver dams maybe and other stuff. So go shoot more beavers. Anything else, any other road projects for 2026? Okay, moving on to the new business, first item there is a, cost appeal for a FOIA request. So this will be appeal number 1, regarding fees of 2025. So Julie, you want me to read your letter that you sent, or do you wanna just start out presenting information? Cause there wasn't a whole lot in the letter.
You can if you like.
I don't have to, that's to your benefit if you want it. It may be, I don't know, my point is, it's your decision.
I'm covering it in here, you don't have to.
Sounds good. Then I will leave the floor to you here.
Okay. I apologize for my chart formatting. Apple Notes is not the greatest. And I am going to sit down because my left knee is screaming. I am appealing the cost of my recent FOIA request. The best way for me to explain the reason for my appeal is to lay out some facts.
The chart below is a comparison on how 2 FOIA requests were handled by the FOIA coordinator, Clerk Julie Chellis. Let's compare these FOIA requests. So I have a chart there for you to look at, but I will read the details to explain why the handling of these 2 requests is the basis for an appeal. I've not yet picked up the flash drive with the requested documents because I'm appealing the cost. Without seeing how many pages of documents are involved, the picture is not clear if the time listed in the itemization has been inflated or not. Chellis failed to give a cost estimate to the other applicant, the other FOIA request that we're comparing, and that's Anderson FOIA request. She failed to charge him anything for his request, as far as I know, talking to the treasurer, unless that has changed recently. She failed to give me a cost estimate until it was requested. Then I was charged 212% of the estimated costs, whereas Anderson was charged nothing. Chellis provided Anderson with information 17 years more than the typical 5-year request. Per Anderson's statements at the July 21st Township Board meeting, Chellis provided Anderson with privileged Township client-attorney communication in violation of MCL 15.341. By Chellis giving Anderson the attorney letter and failing to give him the emails, he had incomplete information, which unfortunately led him to slander Postmas with false accusations. He accused her of possibly getting preferential treatment because of her role as treasurer in regard to a past permit request for her home. To be clear, the record shows she did not receive any preferential treatment because of her elected seat on this board. Please ask Postman to see her documentation if this is still not clear. On July 24th, Chellis denied to Postmas to have given Anderson the attorney letter he referenced in his statement on July 21st. If Chellis' statements were true, how else would he have obtained that confidential letter? Divulging confidential information by elected public officials to unauthorized persons violates MCL 15.341, Standards of Conduct for Public Officers and Employees Act 196 of 1973. Chellis failed to provide Anderson with pertinent emails that could have prevented him from making the accusations he made against Postmas. By Chellis' own admission, those emails were lost, along with what seemed like numerous other electronic files when Mike Strange transferred files from one computer to another in January 2025. At no township business meeting since January did she report the failure to secure and maintain township records, which is her statutory duty. If what she said is true, that township records have been lost, does Mr. Strange have a backup? If not, what other township records have been lost? The public will want to know the answer. Chellis' mishandling of these 2 FOIA requests shows a lack of respect for the importance of her role as FOIA coordinator, the serious consequences of such failures, and has sown distrust in the community in her ability to secure and maintain township records, and her ability to treat residents in a consistent manner in her role as township FOIA coordinator. In summary, the FOIA coordinator, Clerk Julie Chellis, has given a free 23-year search of records for one FOIA request and has charged me $195.70 for a 5-year search to fulfill my FOIA request. How many other requests have been received and fulfilled, and how have they been mishandled? Upon written request of the Township Board or any member of the public, I will provide the email sent to me by Chellis and an audio recording made in her office on July 24th, 2025. As an appeal, I am asking the Township Board to treat all your residents equally and provide me with the records I requested and charge me the same fees Mr. Anderson paid. Nothing. Respectfully submitted, Julie Waterman.
All right, and now the FOIA coordinator, Julie Chellis, will present her review of the appeal.
So first, I just have a quick question. How much did you pay for your first FOIA request? Your first one, how much did you pay?
No. Well, I paid for the flash
You paid
drive.
for your flash drive. So how much did you pay for all the work that was put into it?
I paid
Nothing.
Mhm.
Nothing, right?
Correct.
So I asked the attorney. So first of all, while Jesse did ask for quite a bit of stuff, a lot of it I didn't do. Told him that the stuff from the voting, gotta call the county. We don't have it here. So I can deny that. The stuff that I did look up for him took me less than 15 minutes. If it's under 15 minutes, I do not have to charge him. And as a township resident, I think I made 14 copies, something like that. I asked the attorney, I have every right as the FOIA coordinator to not charge him for those 14 copies. It is in our policy that I do not have to give an estimate before the FOIA request. I did not have to do that for you. Yes, you asked for one. It's a guess. It is absolutely a guess. I didn't know what anyone had. I knew what I had, which was nothing. I didn't know what they had. I guessed, which I'm allowed to do. Now, as for, this is for the board if they wish to read it. As for the lost emails, I contacted our township attorney. I had Mike Strange come in and look at it. The emails on our computers are not set up properly. So there was lost emails, and from what Mike can figure, it was done maliciously. Because they're all gone from my computer and they're gone from Beth's computer. Gone. I called the email company, they can't get them back because the emails are not set up properly, which is in Mike's report, which the attorney knows about, and I did that in July. Okay, so I did not lose emails. Nothing was done maliciously, nothing was done on my part on purpose, not by me. Trust me, I would not have lost those emails. It took Beth, we paid Beth.
So what's the original request?
The original request was for, which you guys all have too. I don't, actually, you have it, I don't put my stuff. The original request was for the emails, any and all emails pertaining to the CSX Railway and any communications between CSX Railway with the board. Okay, again, I knew what I had no idea what they had. I did go by and look, because Katie had asked for a previous FOIA request, so we had a cost comparison, and I found one. So Michigan law states that you can only charge the lowest paying official employee in your office. What they get paid is what you can charge an hour. That's $18 an hour. So I went and I looked through the one that we have here on file, and well, it was charged $25 an hour. Maybe Donna was the only one that could do it, and that's why she was able to charge what she did, because I asked the attorney about that as well. So I charged you less. The township taxpayers paid Beth 7 hours to redact, because again, didn't know what I had. Here's all the emails that had to be redacted, put on a flash drive, scanned back in the system. I saved them all for you because that is your paper. I have 4 hours into it. I did not charge you for 4 hours. I charged you for a total of 10 hours worth of work. I did not charge you for Mike Strange looking at the flash drive, because what I didn't know, Alex sent his all over as a PDF file. Katie sent him as an email. Cannot put an email on a flash drive. All had to be saved as PDF. If I had given you the flash drive, it would have been worthless. I asked Mike to take it home because he was in the office. Can you take this? Can you convert it for me to save me some steps and some time? He tried. Nope, can't do it. Start over again. So I didn't charge you for any of that. The township paid for all that. I did what I could do to cut the cost because I didn't want to charge you that much. But who should eat the cost of that? Is it fair to the taxpayers to pay that?
I had somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half into printing them all the PDF and making sure that everything was fully expanded so there wasn't any missing information. And so I had an hour and a half into it, and that wasn't part of the bill.
Nope, I didn't ask Katie, I didn't ask Alex, Mark, Richard, what their times were into it, didn't ask them.
So it was less than 15 minutes for all of Jesse's FOIA requests?
Yes.
So
Was redacting done
5
on those?
years?
Does that have to be redacted copies?
5 years of cost for the attorney, 5 years of Becca and Rader.
That's super easy to look up.
All that stuff, and then.
In our system, it's super easy to look
All
up.
the variances, you were able to like scan everything in and redact all the information. You did all that in 15 minutes.
He got paper copies, he didn't have it scanned in.
You redacted everything?
Yes. And
You
he
did
did
all
not.
that in
He
15
did
minutes.
less than 15 minutes. And even if it was more, it's still my right as FOIA coordinator to make the decision to not charge people. Anybody could ask me for anything. It is public information. I offered to copy those minutes for you in the office. I offered to make you copies. I offered.
That was a different.
It doesn't matter. I'm making it as a
request.
point. I offered to do it for free because you are a taxpayer. I offered to scan them and email them to you. I offered to give them to you so you could look at them whenever you wanted. I offered that for free. Wasn't good enough, and the attorney says, I can't do that now, I have to charge. My point is that was anybody. I don't care who you are, and you asked for something. You are a township taxpayer. You pay for all this. You have every right to see it and every right to have it.
And there's also a thing that if you're asking for a FOIA request that's for the public good, that they don't charge anything. That'll be the next stage, but I didn't even list that in there, but.
What was the public good in this?
Public good is to show what the board communication with the railroad has done, and if there are any irregularities in this.
Do you know?
And it is for the public good. It's not for my good. I don't even own property by the trail or that has to do with the railroad.
Do you wanna know what I learned from this? That you're gonna move from Banks Township because you don't like gravel pits. Because of how the email chains worked, that was in there. I learned that you don't like me and you're not willing to help me, cause that was in there. So, I mean, this was enlightening to me. Because of how everything was connected and emails are connected, that's what I learned. There's no communication in this board outside of this meeting, none. Have at it.
That has nothing to do with FOIA request.
Does the board have any additional questions for Julie as the FOIA coordinator or Julie Waterman as the appellant?
I am concerned because, Julie, I see real antagonism toward our new clerk.
It's not antagonism. What it is
It
I'm
certainly
not,
seems
it's
like
not
it.
personally critical. I don't know her personally. I have no idea who she is. I'm saying her job as a clerk is what I'm making comments on. Just as her job, and I have the right under public free speech, political free speech, to make comments when an elected official I feel is not doing their job. It's not personal. I have nothing personal against Julie whatsoever.
I asked the attorney,
All right,
she's allowed to write as many letters and say whatever she wants, she has every right,
All
she
right.
does.
Given the significant documentation here and the amount of time it took to do all the redactions and everything else, I would make a motion to uphold the fee. It is reduced, as mentioned earlier. Most of Julie's time is not accounted for in there. None of my time is accounted for in there, and it was significant. And I don't want to pass that fee on to all the taxpayers, because somebody paid for Beth's time, point blank, right? And you guys can all see how big the stack of papers is there. We had to go through, and so it took her a long time to go through and redact it. And for that reason, I'm making a motion to uphold the fee.
Support.
Appeal number 1. All right, support by Richard.
And I also would agree with that. The other FOIA request that has been referred to was, had to do with my application, and as was stated, I was charged $25 an hour for that, so I would concur to that motion.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, who wrote this form up? And who had
This is from the,
all
this is
this
from
stuff
Michael Vila.
about the board is, if the reduced or waived the fee, the board is agreeing to place the burden of the cost for this request on the taxpayers. This is exactly what the public said in January, and this is what your treasurer said when you wanted to waive the fees for the combinations. So just drawing your attention to it, that this was already, this was brought up before, and you all just blinked and voted against it. So I'm not sure why it's showing up here.
This came
All of a sudden
this
it's
came
important.
directly, unedited from the attorney.
Yeah.
So you can do with that what you like. Yeah, so anyway, that's just knowledge for everybody's knowledge. It's just Michael passing that on as our attorney. And, all right, so any further discussion? With that, I will ask for everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Nay.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you.
What
for
is my time frame to pick that up? How long do I have?
I don't know. I
I
don't.
think it's 10 days.
10 days from today?
I'll give you 10 days from today.
Well, yeah, we'll ask the attorneys to make sure we're all square. And, yeah. Okay, we'll get you the written response right at the end of the meeting,
Thank you.
all right? Well, we don't have to come back here for another meeting on this. All right, on to the next thing that I'm sure most of the people here are here for. Petition from residents to eliminate zoning. Discussion item. I don't even know about this thing until Wednesday, that it even existed. It was brought to my attention that it should be on the agenda, so I put it on there. So I haven't read any of it. I don't know what the wording was. I don't know who signed it. I don't know if these people are voters in this township or if they even live here. I have no idea. I trust Paul. I'm not saying that to, huh? I'm not signing it. Well, you probably know where I land on this, but I trust you, but you know, trust but verify, all that stuff, so,
That's good.
I would ask somebody to read it. Paul, it's your petition, it's on the agenda, let's have it.
Sure, to be honored. So we the
What's your
tax,
last name?
McCanowitz.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We the taxpayers of Banks Township support removing local zoning to give property owners more freedom, reduce government control, and cut unnecessary costs. By signing this, you show your support for the township board to vote in favor of eliminating zoning in our community. Why removing zoning benefits Banks Township, protects property rights, gives landowners more freedom to decide how they use their own property, reduces government control, limits unnecessary regulations and interference in personal land use decisions, cuts costs. Banks Township taxpayers spend approximately $250,000 every 5 years to pay for zoning administration and enforcement. These funds could be redirected towards services and improvements that benefit all taxpayers, such as road maintenance, emergency services, or community development. Prevents unfairness and division. Zoning often creates conflict among taxpayers and fosters mistrust, as enforcement can appear inconsistent and allow officials to decide selectively who must comply. Keeps existing protections. County, state, and federal laws will still protect health, safety, and environment. Proven by nearby townships. In Antrim County, 8 townships are not zoned and 7 are zoned. Banks Township zoned has a 2025 real property valuation of approximately $251 million, while Central Lake Township, non-zoned, is approximately $387 million. This demonstrates that value and community strength are not dependent on zoning. Would anybody like to sign it?
Can you show me those values again, the two
I think
townships?
I think you
just-
know.
You don't
Sure,
have to
yeah.
show me the signatures.
Oh,
Only the
sure.
two.
Antrim, 251 million.
Thanks.
Sorry, thank you.
That
yes.
is what, the SEV or the tax bill?
That's the real property valuation.
Okay, what, that's the that's the SEV, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and then what's, you said banks, and what's the other one?
Central Lake, 387 million.
Okay,
So, yep.
okay.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Okay.
No, thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. I
Can
don't
I
know
throw a
much to
couple
say.
facts out there, first of
Yeah,
all, 'cause
you're-
my mom and I have gone down this rabbit hole of researching zoning. We used to have countywide zoning in Antrim County, by the way. Julie gave me this. This was the Banks Township zoning ordinance that went into effect. It was a supplement to the Torch, July 13th, 1978. Zoning came into being in Banks Township under the Township Rural Zoning Act, which was Act 184 of 1943. For those of people who are in the planning zoning world, you know now we're under the zoning enabling. But back in 1978, they were under this act. The only time that this would have gone to the vote is if after the publication there had been a protest. So unless Donna or Julie has found evidence of a protest, this was not a part of the procedure to vote on it. So that is the fact. So you can go online, you can look up this public act, and that I have it right here, actually tells you the process to go through. So to say that we never voted on it, it's illegal, it's unlawful, that wasn't the law in 1978. And the rumors about the back country or kitchen meeting, blah, 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 Open Meetings Act came into effect in 1977. So there could have been a meeting in 1976 that would have been completely lawful, that could have taken place in somebody's kitchen. But anyway, that's the facts as to how zoning came to be in Banks Township. I don't see any evidence that it came to be under clandestine, again, nefarious means, unless you guys have found any evidence, factual evidence to that.
We've already checked with attorneys that if a zoning ordinance is enforced, if it was put in place totally illegally, if it's been in force for multiple years, somewhere around 5 to 10 at least, then the courts have upheld that ordinance.
Yes, it is in place,
Yeah.
but like
So-
for instance, John Elsinga's name's on that. He was a good man. The people that served on this board were a good man. I don't want them dragged into the mud. They're not here anymore, and have these sort of negative feelings ascribed to them that they did something underhanded. These are newspaper articles. This was in the newspaper. And I believe, reading this, that they followed the protocol that was in place at the time. It was Act 184. So again, I would like, some respect for these people who came before us and made good decisions for this township. I did a little research on my own too. Our total taxable value, that's what we pay taxes on, and that determines what the millage rates are that go to the schools, that go to the library, whatever. 20 years ago, it was 72 million. It is now 140. We have grown exponentially as a township. We have properties buying and selling. We have businesses expanding. I don't know that that would be possible if we had a restrictive zoning that would not let people do what they wanted to do. I think we are a prosperous community, and I think you can evidence that by the facts of our growth and by driving up and down 31 and seeing the businesses that are expanding, whose parking lots are full on the weekends. You see the houses going down the road. You see the houses being built. I don't think zoning has stifled. As far as the fighting, I'm sorry that that's been some's experience. I personally feel this is a very loving, this is a very peaceful community, and people work things out between their neighbors. And I'm sorry that some of you have experienced a lot of fighting and you feel that this is a fighting thing. I don't see it that way. Just my thoughts on zoning.
So, based on what you just said, and what I've heard from some, is that there never was a vote. Legal or illegal, you're perfectly fine, that it was legal for no vote.
Yeah, they didn't, under the law, the only time it went to the
But-
electors is if there was a protest after the publication within 7 days of paper, and then someone had to file a protest, the clerk had to certify it, and then there had to be a petition.
But
This
the
was the
point is-
law.
The point is, there was no vote.
Right,
So there was never a vote.
'cause it didn't need to be.
So we really don't know where the township residents stood then or stand now. So that was somebody's argument or point that maybe it's time for a vote. And with that, checking with attorneys, the township board does not have the power to ask for a vote. We can't do that. It's not part of the process of zoning enabling act. Once the zoning, the zoning is in force, the township board cannot bring it up to the people for a vote. There is one mechanism that would allow it to be voted on, and that is a procedure. It's in the zoning ordinance for an amendment. So there would have to be an amendment directed by the board. The board would have to say, we make an amendment, we recommend an amendment, that the zoning ordinance be repealed in its entirety. That recommendation would then go to the planning commission. The planning commission would have to deliberate. The planning commission would have to hold a public hearing on that amendment. The planning commission would have to make a recommendation to the township board. That recommendation would go to the county for a recommendation from the county planning commission. Then that recommendation would come to the township board, and then the township board would have to vote again to repeal. I'm saying this in order to put it on the ballot. The township board would have to again vote to repeal, and then the citizens that do not want a repeal, they want to keep the ordinance, would have to have an attorney write a referendum, a petition, and that would have to be signed by, it varies a little, but by about 110 registered voters in the township, not including the village, because this is a township zoning ordinance, not part of the village. And then if those are turned in to the township board, then it would go on the ballot. So that is the procedure. The only procedure known to the attorneys that I've talked to, that we could put it on the ballot.
Yes, that is exactly the way Catherine described it to me.
Yeah, what I don't understand is you're saying that nobody was given a chance to vote
I would,
under the old, what?
They could, only
could if
one,
they had to
one
protest,
person,
right?
one, it only took one person to say to the clerk, we want a petition
Right.
filed. One person. One person
So if one
could've-
person had stood up, they
one
could have
person
voted.
could've. And
So
they,
it's not like
and they
they were-
probably didn't
Not like
because,
nobody, that somebody said you can't vote on that.
right, because
People
back in
thought
the
back
day,
then
it
things
was
were different.
Republicans who were overwhelmingly in support of zoning, and the Democrats thought it was horrible. So this was happening like in the sixties
Yeah.
in Antrim County. So thinking of Banks Township being a very Republican community, this was probably something they all wanted. This would have been in line with their whole, and things have shifted clearly
But
in
how
the
much
last
has the zoning
30 or
changed?
40
Those
years.
rules.
So.
all right, we're not doing
But
that
anyway, it
anymore,
took,
because
it
we're
took
gonna be
one,
here till
Barb,
11
it
or
took one
midnight,
person,
and I don't wanna
it
do
took
that.
one person to hold it up.
Yep, yeah, you're right, Kate.
So it
I-
wasn't, yeah.
I agree. By de facto, the township voted back then that it was okay, right? Because not a
The
single
township
person
voted.
said no. Nobody opposed it.
That's right.
Not a single person.
That's right.
Now,
No
that
votes.
could be a lack of information, and people not knowing what the processes are. Probably is the case, 'cause I'm sure at least one person in this whole township would have said no, right? But that's the fact of the matter. Nobody stepped up and said, no, this is a bad idea. And to your point, those are, I hope I'm not disparaged in 40 years when I'm dead in the ground, for how I, operated on the board. Because I can tell all of you, I do this with as good a faith as I possibly can muster. I
I'm
try
sure
as hard
they
as
did
I
too.
possibly can to do right by every single one of you. So, to your point, I'd hate to see those guys drag through the mud on this.
They didn't, I don't see any evidence that anything wrong was done.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see evidence that policy
followed
and
the law.
procedures was skipped.
No,
So I wanted
so
to
that's-
dispel those myths.
Yep, so that's the first side of the whole thing. And then I have said this before, I'll say it again. If there's a problem with the zoning, please bring it to us. We got a couple of those things going on right now. The setbacks are too big, and you can't have duplexes in CR. I think both of those issues can open a lot of can of worms, but I wanna hear those things, right? I read through this whole ordinance, I've read through it multiple times, but before I even took this job, I was like, what's going on with this thing? And read it, and I didn't see anything that really stood out to me, because I guess I don't have desire to do the things that are prevented in the zoning ordinance. I'm not planning on doing gravel. I wanna farm, I wanna raise sheep, it's fun, I enjoy it, it's got a lot of fun, and, that's what I wanna do on my property. So I understand that there's other people that find it to be restrictive, but I would point to, a couple years ago, right after I got on the board, Lacey Joseph, who was our police officer in town at the time, wanted to start a firearms training facility on her property. And the planning commission went through, and they took it on. They said, okay, well, we'll think about that. There's been other ones, the motocross track that was more, I don't use the word forceful, but the mechanism wherein the landowner proposes it is for when you can't get the board or the planning commission to discuss it or bring it up on their own. So, sometimes that happens. You have 5 members of the board who don't agree, and you have to kind of force the issue. But I'll go back to Lacey's thing. She asked about doing this, and we said, yep, you're right, there's not a way to do that in the township, let's look at it. And the planning commission went through lots of time figuring that out, and came up with a plan that was safe for people around, and incorporated a whole lot of safety measures, and now it's a healthy chunk of our zoning ordinance, but you can do it, right? Now, hey, I wanna do this thing, and now I can, because because the planning commission went through the process and the board voted on it and approved it and said, yep, this is good, have at it. And, so my point in saying all that is both the board and the planning commission are both very open to suggestions. Unfortunately, I say this a lot, please bring specifics. It's too long, doesn't get me anywhere, and it doesn't help guide me, because there are things in there that are good. And I think that there are a lot of people, and I know you got 250 people to sign that thing, and you're probably gonna get more. I know you're going after Paul, I know that you're gonna pound the pavement, and,
Social emancipation, you know?
There are things in there, I think that there are people probably that signed it that may not be thinking about all of the ramifications that may go with it. You know, take that for what it's worth. On the other side, I think there's people that might want more stringent, zoning that may not be thinking about growth and being able to do things with your families and things of that nature, and build businesses. I'm open to amending it in some ways, but I cannot vote to get rid of it. I think it's a good thing, so why would I vote to put it in jeopardy? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me. We've had it for 50 years, almost 47, and we continue to see growth and people moving here. Lots of people have bought property in this township based on the fact that we have zoning. A lot of people like that stability, to Rob and Dave's point. That is a stabilizing factor. I know, and I'm just using the royal eye here, I know that next door to me, whatever, campground's not gonna go in without going into a public hearing, right? And at least me having a point of being able to make my point to the public. I know that there are, marijuana shops aren't gonna go up in town, and I know people use it, whatever. I don't think it's good for the community, and you can come at me for that one. But I do not look at towns that have pot shops and say, yeah, that's good, let's do that in our township. And so the zoning ordinance prevents that. Now, you could do it with a police power ordinance, but I think that lessens the public input, right, into any one of these things that we discuss. And now you're down to just 5 people voting on it, rather than it going through an in-depth discussion, and multiple steps. To your earlier point, Marv, that it takes if everything goes great, it's 4 months to modify something. And I think that's a good thing. And, I think that's a good part of the way that the federal Senate works, and that you have to get 60 votes to get over the filibuster, because it slows things down, it gives people an opportunity to think about things, and it's not knee-jerk reactions. And finally, one more point, that while it does inhibit some things, it is also a mechanism for people to defend themselves from harassment that may not otherwise be able to be reconciled. So there's that. Anyway, that's it.
I think if we have rules in place, we should follow them. No matter what, I do think that sometimes the zoning is used as like we're some police community. I had a phone call this week. A lady called because she wanted to enjoy the quiet outside after she got out of work with her dog. And her neighbor was firing a gun and it scared her, and she didn't know if she was gonna be shot. Okay, well, he can't fire his gun. What does your zoning ordinance say? He can fire his gun, ma'am, he's on private property. Well, he could be by the property line. Well, did you go talk to your neighbor, ma'am? Well, actually, I don't live here. You don't live here? No, I don't live here, but I own property and I'm gonna build a house there. Well, then I guess it's good you found out before you built the house that your neighbor shoots guns. And maybe you should just have a conversation with your neighbor. Well, it scares my dogs. I can understand that. Maybe go have a conversation with your neighbor rather than calling and saying, do something to stop it. And that is a lot of what I see and what I've read in the office. I don't want my neighbor to do A. Well, it's your neighbor's property. So if your neighbor wants to shoot his gun, your neighbor can shoot his gun. I don't want my neighbor to ride a dirt bike. It's your neighbor's property. Your neighbor wants to ride a dirt bike on their property, they can ride a dirt bike. I live next to the pallet mill. What you don't realize is that every day about 5 a.m., the machines all fire up, and I hear it. If I'm listening, I can hear it. I choose not to. It's a business. They're gonna run the business. The business has been there forever. It is what it is. And then one day it just goes away. I was at Paul's house once and picking up my kid, and I said, whose dogs are barking? Oh, so-and-so has has hunting dogs, and he told me who it was, and I was like, she doesn't even live near here. Yep, you get used to it. But then what happens is someone new moves in and says, I don't wanna listen to that. Where's your ordinance that stops it? Well, you moved here. You moved here knowing what you were moving into, and now you want us to do something to stop it because you don't like it and it offends you. Then don't live here. The thing I told the lady on the phone when she was complaining about the guns, hunting season's starting. I'm sorry. It was youth hunt last weekend. It was,
You know the list this weekend?
last weekend.
Yeah, well, 2 different lists.
Yeah. People are out target shooting. They're getting their guns ready. It's hunting season. Well, we're hunters. Then why are you calling me?
To that point, I don't cut you off.
I'm fine. If we have rules, you should follow them. Whether or not you like zoning doesn't matter. There is a set of rules for a reason. So whether it's the duplex or the deck, there is a set of rules. And if you don't want to follow the rules, why do we have it?
I had that exact situation on the state level, and that is that it had reference to DOT numbers on farm trucks. And the DOT, or whoever, lawmakers, changed it so that you had to have it on smaller trucks than you used to have, and farm trucks. And so then they started enforcing it. And I was told this, I think, by some state rep at the time, but anyway, he said, if you want to get rid of a law, just start enforcing it. And that's what they did. They enforced it. And there were so many farmers upset. They contacted all their legislators and they changed the law. It's now gone. And maybe we're at that point in Banks Township. If you want zoning, or if you don't, I mean, I agree with Julie. If it's there, it has to be enforced to everyone. And there's no leeway. If it's, and to Alex's point, or Curtis' point, it can be changed. So enforce it the way it is, and then change it if it's not proper. Or if it's too much enforcement, maybe it's time to eliminate it.
I think it would be worth it to send a letter, even if we did a newsletter, to the citizens to say, this is something we're talking about, what are your thoughts and feelings? Because Paul going door to door is one thing, and you guys are out there and doing one thing, but that still doesn't hit everybody. So is it that you want zoning gone? Is it that you want zoning changed? And if you want it changed, why? What is it that is restrictive to you, that you need it changed and you need it to work for you? Because just to go in willy-nilly and say, well, I'm gonna change this or change that or change this, that doesn't work either. And like I've asked Alex, okay, the camper rule, can you explain the camper rule to me? Because I don't own a camper and I don't like the camper rule. So explain that to me. And he says, well, because people were putting campers on vacant property, and then it starts to look a certain way, and, well, you can't live in a camper. All right, I get that. Yeah, that all makes more sense. I still think you should be able to have it for more than 90 days. Well, it has to do with the vacant property part, and, like, I can have one because I have a house, so that's okay. So there is, like, once you start talking about it and looking into it, some of it starts to make sense. Some of it.
I mean, that one, I'm just gonna chime in because you brought it up.
I know, I asked you about it earlier.
You know, from an economic and governmental standpoint, with RVs, you know, the people that have RVs are I brought this up at the planning commission, the people that have RVs benefit from all of our services, right? They cost you money to deal with the taxes on RVs, on the property. Costs money to fix roads that they're using. If they have a fire, they're gonna use our fire services, all these things, right? And if you only put an RV on your vacant land, the value of your land doesn't go up, and so there's less taxable income, and I'm pretty
But
conservative.
that is not why a decision was made. It
No, I
wasn't
just
made
told,
on
I said that is
economics.
another
Yeah.
reason, that is another thing from a governmental standpoint.
So-
If you had nothing but,
So my,
my point is, a
But
lot of
without
discussion.
zoning, you could have campgrounds and RVs everywhere. That could be
Sure.
lived effective.
but doesn't
It
the
could be
county
default
have rules
living.
on that?
I don't think so. And the health department, good luck getting them to come out and red tag
So-
something and shut it down.
So even like with the campers, I get you can't live in a camper. I get how that looks. Not a good idea.
For some,
For a lot of, I get that's all some people can afford.
for some people, that's a
That's-
housing choice.
Right,
yeah.
that's reality. What I know is that we had a call come in, and there's an issue on Lakeshore Drive, this guy wants to build a piece of property. Neighbor is stopping him from building the property, so he's in his camper. Well, neighbor filed a complaint. Now the homeowner, actually landowner, who's trying to build a home, only has 45 days and will have to file an extension, so 90 days in his camper, and he wants to build a house. His neighbor's stopping him. Well, because she was kind of encroaching on his land, so. That ordinance, he's stuck. He gets 90 days on a piece of property on Lakeshore Drive on Lake Michigan, and he, no more than 90 days, and the camper has to come completely off, and he can't build the house he wants because the neighbor is stopping him. Like, so it's stuff like that that's not.
But it's his choice to live in a camper. Most people
Because
would
he
rent,
can't-
most people would rent while they're building a house or
Well,
live somewhere else. So
let
that
me
was a
interject.
choice.
If you're gonna
I don't
call
think
it a
we
life
do.
example.
No, don't call,
Yeah.
no,
But
hold on.
I got the
I'm just-
details, I'm just not gonna
Yeah.
give it. So,
So my question is, we go back and forth. Some of us think that the majority of the township want zoning. Some of us think that the majority of the township want a lot less zoning. Some of us think the majority of the township wants no zoning. Why don't we let the township decide this? That's what we have balance for. And all it takes is a motion to repeal. And if it takes our attorneys to write up this petition for the people that want zoning, so be it. I'll go for that.
I think it's a slippery slope for any township that already has
So,
zoning
Marv?
to go backwards. I think that's a slippery
Let me
slope.
ask you something, Marv, a straight up question. Do you think that there are uninformed voters that go to the poll?
Well, absolutely. It would be the responsibility of those people that are for zoning to inform voters, and it would be the responsibility of those people that are against zoning to inform voters. That's what elections are for. That's what we do all the
Yeah.
time,
That's a
in
fair point.
every election.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, I agree.
Just asking the question.
I think
because
it's,
We know what happened in 22, right, with the clerk, in the early voting and all that stuff, and how much added, anyway, whatever. Go on, Richard.
I think it's at the point where the only right way to resolve it is to bring it to a vote of the people. And I would move that we repeal zoning, if that's the first step in getting us through the process where we take it to a vote.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor.
I'll support it.
Our supports. And now we can discuss it.
The motion would be that we recommend to the planning commission to repeal it so that they can have their deliberation,
hearing.
public hearings, and
Why not change what we have? There are grants that we could make it less restrictive. I know I say common sense and everyone's like, what's common sense? But there are grants to help with that. So if that is the issue,
well, there's two ways that could, I mean, if the ordinance goes before the people, and if either way, if it's voted in or voted out, we can come back and say, let's propose a middle ground. if you wanna call it that.
If you take it to a vote to the people, and say the people say, yes, we wanna keep it, it stands as it is, does it not?
Yes, but it's still
But-
a living document, it still is subject to change. And, I mean, look at the change that happens. We've got three issues before the planning commission. We've got setbacks, we've got duplex, and we've got gravel. And all three of them are on a trajectory of taking 6 months to a year, not 4 months.
So what's that problem?
So do you think that, okay, so say you change it, or even on the case of like the planning commission with the duplex and the multifamily homes, would you want a multifamily home next to your house?
Do you want condos along the lake?
No. Sorry.
No, that's my point though.
Uh-huh. So that's my
Do you
point.
want, but if you get rid of zoning, and it doesn't matter who it is, says, well, I wanna build a multifamily home, so I'm gonna build this house, it's gonna have 4 apartments in it, call it whatever you want. Say you're bringing homes to the area, right? You wanna?
Can I ask a question?
No,
No,
sorry.
she asked me.
I know, sorry.
No,
I said
now we're down
sorry.
to Nancy, you have to do it in the public comment.
I apologize.
I do not want this to get into a big open forum, we will be here till midnight.
I know other people got to talk, but I did this kind of.
It's not fair.
So yeah, then all of these hypothetical examples, go drive in Central Lake, go drive in Echo. How many of them do you see? Any hypothetical example that you can come up with, how many do you see in these other neighboring townships? And they have not had
Can you see the lot
zoning.
lines? Can you see how close they are to lot lines? You can't see that by driving by.
You can see how close they are to the road with setbacks.
But you
And
can't
there's
see
very-
lot lines, you
there's-
can't see if they're built on lot lines or what. You can't see that driving around.
I talked to the clerk in Central Lake and I asked her about zoning, cause they're not zoned. And she said that zoning done right, she thinks is good. I talked to a clerk from Echo Township about zoning, and they're not zoned. She said she loves it,
She loves what?
not being zoned.
Okay.
You know, I know that if we're sitting here to serve the people, that's what I know, right? I know that we're not here for ourselves, we're not supposed to be here for ourselves. So, right now, you have one group that says they don't want it and one group that says they do want it. So how do you serve the people?
I think the vote is the perfect way, and then it's incumbent upon everyone to get informed, and for the people that are passionate on both sides of the issue to get the information out there, to inform the voters and turn out the vote.
Richard, what was your original motion? Was it you made a motion to repeal zoning? Is that what you mean? Or you mean to vote?
Well, it's,
It's required.
it's
to-
only, right, we can't repeal zoning. I'm making whatever motion is required to start the process. And it's my understanding that I have to make a motion, that's what the attorneys have said, to repeal zoning. This board has to
What
vote.
attorneys?
Our attorneys.
Where's that?
Catherine Baucom.
Where's that? I didn't get this
Catherine.
communication. Where's this communication from the attorneys about how to repeal
I
zoning?
talked to her on the phone, I will be happy to get her,
Well,
get you a
how
memo.
come he knows the process? I mean,
Because
they
they've
don't.
talked to other, I know that Marvin has
I've
an
talked
attorney
to other
before
attorneys,
we had
so-
this attorney, so.
Well, right, we can get that.
Yeah,
That'll be
happy
part of the
to
process.
lay
We
it
can get
out.
that from our attorney to confirm that. But I believe it's time to take it to a vote. I think it's, I'm not personally certain that, I've said up until very recently that I'm not opposed to zoning wholesale. We've lived with it for all of my life and we've done just fine. But I'm just concerned about the direction of it, and I think the time and the resources that we're putting into it are, I'm not sure that it's worth it any longer, so I'd like to let the people vote. It's just, I mean, the amount of time, even right now in this meeting, and it's just one meeting after another, that's all devoted to zoning. I think that neighboring townships, the majority of them in our county, are doing fine without it. So I think if it comes to a vote, I'll be voting against it. And that's why I'm making the motion that I think it's time for the people of the township to vote. It's been a long time.
I've heard it said that, from realtors, that, you know, a realtor, I should say, that this area that we are in is probably the next Jackson Hole. And, I mean, that's a verbatim quote.
Yeah.
And you're going to see, admittedly, it hasn't happened yet, it's very recent. Since COVID, there's been a massive flood of cash into northwest Michigan specifically. This is a beautiful place to live. And yeah, you can say, well, it's all fine in those other areas. It's coming. It is coming. And you are going to see a ton of development in this community in the not so near future, not so distant future. And we're 45 minutes from, or 35 from Acme and Traverse City. We're 10 minutes from, you know, Charlevoix, Petoskey's half an hour away, and Gaylord too. And you're gonna find, I mean, if you look at a half an hour radius from any of these major metropolises or a place like Jackson Hole, the development, to Steve's point in his public comment, it just expands at an astronomical rate. And you're gonna see, it may not be a concrete jungle in my lifetime, but it will be, everything's gonna be split into tiny little bits, and
We're already seeing developers.
you have agriculture, that's gonna, your agricultural land will be shot, which is part of it. It boggles my mind a little bit that you two guys are the big farmers and don't seem to be worried about this at all, because I had a cousin who was the treasurer in Polkton Township, which is west of Grand Rapids.
Ottawa County.
In Ottawa County, and you cannot build a home on agricultural land in that township. That's how seriously their farmers and their voters take saving their agricultural land. And I'm telling you, it's coming, Richard.
Well,
And
I'll tell
it's
you
coming.
what, Mark, we keep taking more and more orchard out because we can't afford to farm it. And if there's gotta be a different use for, and we have no intention to do anything with it. We can do better leaving it open. But farming isn't profitable as a whole.
But we need food, all right?
Well,
I understand
yeah, we need
profitability and economics and stuff.
Yeah, you can't, right, that's what.
Humans need food. I hate to break it to everybody, but
No
that's
farms, no
quite
No farms, no food.
Yeah, but
So-
you can't make the farmer grow something that he can't make a living at. So.
That's true, I agree with that, but if you allow for all the agricultural land to be turned into homes, you don't have the opportunity to grow food on that in the future if it becomes profitable. I don't know what that means, if that's federal stuff with tariffs, and I know the cherry thing with turkey and whatnot, but I don't know what that answer is, but if you split it all up and make it all into residential or whatever, you won't even have the opportunity to grow crops on that land anymore.
Let's see, the zoning is, the parcel division ordinance is not zoning.
Correct, and, but it
So
also,
that's already covered.
but that only
so-
dictates the splitting of it. That doesn't mean that, so the zoning protects the ag, it protects the conservation and rec. And I don't mean to, muddle the two. I probably did, but I didn't mean to. But
And if, I'll just say this right out, that if zoning is repealed, I will pledge to work harder than anyone to make sure evil doesn't come into our community. We don't need marijuana, we don't need
can't stop
adult
it. It's here.
entertainment and
I know you
others.
won't stop it.
And-
You can't stop it, it's already here.
And it's, it can be done by police ordinance or zoning, so it could be done either way. And it's our job to protect the community from evil.
yeah,
Evil.
well,
Protect the aquifers.
anyway, all right, I'm gonna, anybody have anything
So,
else?
yeah, Richard,
Go ahead.
I'm not clear, what is your motion? Is it to repeal zoning or to vote, or to take it to the vote? Because this is probably gonna end up in the paper this week, so I need to know exactly what exactly your motion was. I don't
Well,
wanna
it's my
I don't
understanding,
wanna
based on
misquote
what
you.
the attorneys have said,
Okay.
right, I'm having trouble, I've, in multiple meetings recently, from the planning commission to this one, probably based on my lack of experience at this. I don't know how exactly to word the motion because.
Do you really wanna say that before you make a motion on this basically earth-shattering? You just said I don't have any experience with this, but you're making
I
this.
want to bring this to a vote of the people.
Okay,
And
Richard.
the attorney has advised that this board has to vote to repeal zoning as the first step in that process. So
So
my
you-
motion is to repeal zoning. And that in itself will not repeal zoning. It will start the process to take it to a vote.
Don't let it happen.
And Marv supported that. So Richard made a motion to repeal zoning. Okay, Marv supported.
Yep. Anything else? Any other arguments the five of us wanna make,
Based
not
on
everybody
what,
else?
I don't know, just, I know, I'm 21 years on this board, I've never seen anything like this. No factual evidence, all of a sudden, it's like, oh my goodness, we have to take this to the people, we shouldn't, oh no, zoning, everyone's fighting. This is like a fabricated crisis. This is tomfoolery, in my opinion, it's tomfoolery. I see no factual basis to take these drastic actions tonight.
I think we should keep talking about it. Table.
Okay,
Is that a motion to table it?
If the motion is carried to repeal, we will be talking about it for, the planning commission, it goes to them, and they will be talking about it probably for 2 months, and then it comes back to us, and hopefully by that time, we will have heard, from the public at the public hearing of the planning commission, and possibly gotten educated, more reasons, one way or another, and hopefully better able to make the decision the next time it comes back to us. This is not a final decision, this is a step to learn and a step to hear our constituents.
Why'd you do that first?
Have we had complaints? Like, lots of them?
All right. Richard, anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to, Paul, do you have the petitions with you?
Just one, but
Oh, okay.
there's some room if anybody wants to sign it in the community, so.
Well, I mean, we can look at the petitions, but I believe that they've gathered the signatures, they say, so I think it's pretty strong evidence that there is a lot of concern about zoning.
So much so we haven't heard anything about it.
So is there?
No, this has been going on for months.
I know
This has
Christmas,
been,
I know you guys tried this at Christmas.
we've been talking about this for months.
You
It's
guys-
the main thing we talk about.
That's
Nobody
because
else.
Marvin brought it up and
All
was
right.
stirring up the
Please,
pot.
let's finish this. Anything else that you'd like to say?
I think that we should talk to our attorneys first. I do think that, again, we're here to serve the people, and what do the people want, and what is the way? So hold a public hearing before you do anything, and get people to show up and have their opinion heard. I get it, you've got the signatures. Huh?
But no discussion.
So, the process is then that a public hearing would be held in that process
Right, just
before it goes to the people for a vote.
At least one. The board can also set a public hearing after that.
You can have as many of those as you want. Ready to vote?
Nope,
Well, you can move to table it, but
nope. Who wants to be me? Who wants to be me? Who can look at our board and know who you have to be if you have to be me? You're gonna be the yes, or you're gonna be the no? You're gonna do what people want or don't want people? Either way, I'm gonna make someone mad.
I don't think you need to make anybody.
So,
mad.
And it's not, it's here, it is here to serve.
Just vote your gut.
That's right,
Do
do
your
what,
thing.
do what
Do
you
your
think is
job.
right, that's
That's what
all you do.
is it, we live in a representative republic, not a democracy.
This can take,
So-
this will take it to a vote. If we don't make this move, the people will not have the opportunity to vote on it.
So no one wants to try this out, route of like, just like redoing zoning and having like a really, yes. You know, simple, common sense, like if we look at it that,
I've been
Am I the
asking for
only
that
one?
for months, so.
Can I make a comment as a zoning administrator, since we're talking about zoning?
Sure.
When you talk about pulling in the, you know, shrinking the zoning, okay, making it less expensive, where are
less
you gonna,
restrictive.
where are you gonna do that? Are you gonna say, well, we're gonna do it when it comes to, pick something? I mean, all the stuff that's in there, we're gonna say, well, we're gonna change how we feel about animals and who can have animals. Oh, no, we're gonna change, of what is gonna be allowed as a primary use in R1. Are we going to, okay, we don't wanna have to have in CR, this provision should no longer have to go through a special use permit. Where are you gonna trim this? That's my question. I mean, because you have to look at the whole thing.
The phone calls that
So-
I've gotten are, there are people who feel the zoning is too restrictive and the township as a whole feels like an HOA. I had a phone call this
Oh.
morning, and the guy said he likes zoning, but he can't do what he wants on his land. So he likes zoning.
My point is though, if you're talking about, hey, let's just wait, and I'm not weighing in either way here, I'm just saying, if you're looking at, well, let's just wait, talk about it, how can we trim it back? You wanna talk about a 3-year discussion, you're gonna have every meeting for 2 hours, talking about what little bit we can do here, what we can do there. I think you have to, if you're either gonna keep it, and that doesn't mean you can't amend it, here and there, little parts, like we're talking now with these 3 other things. I just don't know, if you're looking at it in total, say, well, we gotta make zoning less restrictive, what the hell does that mean?
That's a make everybody happy.
But even
What-
like that.
So, anyway, zoning administrators, shutting up.
I would say that, one more thing to consider is that every one of those things that are in that zoning ordinance has been poured over by people who have been, again, willing to serve the community and they've worked on it for a long time. I mentioned the firing range thing, the RV ordinance was like a 2-year deal. I mean, it was absurd how long we talked about that to try to thread the needle. And my point in that is that people worked really hard on those things and they did the best that they possibly could in their mind. And so what's in there, it's just like every warning label you find on something, right? It's got, I think the sign in Traverse City says every warning label has a great backstory, right? Everything in the zoning ordinance is there because there was an issue and there was a concern by members of the public that we don't want to necessarily go that route in our community, and we just don't want it to be the Wild West, and so we presented this, they went through public hearings and all that, and it had a lot of thought put into it. It wasn't just one person saying, I don't like welding or something like that, and saying we can't do that. I mean, that's not even in the ordinance, so I'm gonna get hammered for that. But they are not flippant. They do have a reason for them, and there's a lot of people who, well, certainly the entire community had an opportunity to weigh in on every single one of those issues. What tends to happen here, and this is gonna come in a minute, but someone has an issue, and it's like one thing for one person, and it's the tail wagging the dog. It's not, I thought about this after our last meeting. If, you know, you guys know I raise sheep, right? In my yard, in my field, not my yard, that would be illegal. In my fields. If I was out there and in lambing season in the spring, and an eagle came down and took one of my lambs, I said, you know, that's wrong. I don't like that. I shoot the eagle right out of the sky, right? my butt would be in prison. Nobody in the government's gonna say, oh, you know what? Well, it's taking part of his livelihood, so we should change the rule on that. No, that's the rule, we're gonna enforce it, and you go to jail for shooting a bird. I mean, it's a special bird, but it's a bird. Who's taking your livelihood? We all live under the same rules. It's really not that I don't think it's that cumbersome. One of these issues would have been dealt with if the homeowner had just asked for a building permit. As soon as I wanted to fix my tool shed, I called the building department. Do I need a building permit for this? Nope. Okay. It's a 5-minute conversation with Peggy down there, Pam, whatever, I think it's Pam. It's not hard to just call and say, hey, do I need a permit for this? And so now, because that person did not do that, under bad advice, which I understand, we ask people and sometimes they give us bad advice, but under bad advice, did not get a building permit, and therefore was not informed that he needed a zoning permit. Now we've got, well, let's just get rid of all setbacks. Well, that's a big deal. When you have a home built on the property line, it really encroaches on your neighbors, and you can say, well, it's your fault for living next to them. But when you moved here, you had assurances from the township that said, there will not be a home within 25 feet of your property line, or whatever, pick whatever zone we're talking about here. There is a number that says you will not have a building within X feet of your property line. So at a minimum, you're gonna have, let's take the 25-foot line. Minimum, you're gonna have 50 feet between buildings. You're gonna have that much space, because I've lived in town, it stinks to have a home that's right there, like, right there. I can spit out my window and hit their house. That's not good, to me. I don't like that. So I don't live in a city. I live in the country. And part of that is, I have assurances from the township that said, you live here, you will not have a home within 25 feet of your property line. That doesn't count for me, because the house that was built next to me was built prior to zoning. But everybody else, I know that there's nobody gonna build 25 feet on the other side, right? And those are assurances that I was given when I bought the property. Can they be changed? Of course they can, but I like that assurance. To Steve, Dave, and Rob's point, it gives stability. It gives you an idea. When you move here, you have an idea what's gonna go in around you. Unless somebody else wants to talk, I'm ready to call a vote. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Can we repeat
Huh?
the motion again?
The motion is to repeal zoning.
Okay.
Which does,
Starts the process.
we have a roll call.
And
Yeah, a roll call would be
you prefer a roll call, okay?
roll call.
So,
Do we have a problem with that? Okay.
wait a minute. You repeal zoning because it takes it back to the people for a vote.
Well, there's no because, it just,
That's how it
that is
works.
the vote, that is the motion. We are moving, the board is moving, someone on the board is moving to repeal zoning. That's it. Richard Frisky moves to repeal zoning. And then because of that 5, 8 words, whatever, that initiates the process that goes to the planning commission, starts public hearings and
And
whatnot.
this is, you've talked to Catherine, and this is how this all works.
Yes. I asked because I was, again, blindsided by a petition. I made a phone call and said, hey, help me out here. What does the petition do? Well, really all it does is it shows that there are people interested in this topic and might sway a vote on the board. It doesn't have any official effect, but it can show that there are a lot of people that are interested in the topic, and anyway, but then we went into the process. Yes, the process is the township board repeals zoning. I'm not gonna repeat everything. He said it right. Marv was spot on with the process. It goes to planning commission, they go through their process, and then it comes back here, we vote. Someone at that point, within 7 days, files, I can't remember the exact verbiage, but basically says, I'm petitioning to stop this. And at that point, all of it halts. they have 30 days, I believe, to submit more than 10% of the, 10% of the electors in the last governor's race in the township. So I don't know what that number is, I have no way of knowing
Didn't
that.
I tell you 989, what was the last governor's race? Yeah.
Okay,
It was 106, I was told, at that
Okay.
point, and, yeah.
all right, anyway, so there you go. So they would need a petition that was signed by 106. I'm gonna use that number just because that's the one we have in front of us, but that number may be subject to change. They would have they would need to get 106 signatures to say, no, we don't want you to do this, this is not good. And at that point, everything's halted, and then the township board goes through the process of putting it on the ballot. And then at that point, it's voted on by the people, and they
No,
get to make a
no, it
decision.
won't be on the November ballot.
It
Takes a
ain't,
lot
that ain't
more
gonna happen,
votes than
nope.
that.
So you're looking at like maybe a May.
May or August.
Yeah, May, August, or, you know, you could, I don't know, you could push it to the November general election. Which
That would
for
be a board
governor, right?
decision.
Yeah, that's up to the board.
If that happens, then the board has to decide which election.
Mhm.
Does the
All of
board
that
have an idea
transpires.
what the cost of that's gonna be? Has anybody reviewed that?
Cost of what?
The cost of going back through the whole process of what you're gonna,
The repeal.
what you're proposing to do,
Applications.
of what that's gonna cost the taxpayers in this township.
You know, I don't know, I have not, Jack. It's I don't know, but technically probably not that much. I mean, really, you got a public hearing that you have to post. Probably, I mean, I would think that we would have the attorneys and the planning commission, or the planning people at those meetings, so that's gonna cost a couple $1,000 probably. But,
Yeah, I'm just trying to, you know, I'm just.
yeah, no, it's a good, yeah, I don't think it would be, I mean, this isn't in my favor, but I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be less than zoning costs. That's not in favor to my argument, but I'm at least honest about it,
What would it
so.
cost the township if there was no zoning and there were gravel pits that then contaminated the aquifers and we didn't have safe drinking water? Would that come back to the township?
I can't answer that question, Nancy.
And with water prices or something?
I don't know that there's a way, there would be any, liability on the township. I don't know that, I can't answer that question, I'm not a lawyer, so. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
There'll be lawsuits, yes.
I'm doing a roll call vote. All right, Richard,
Yes.
Marv,
Yes.
Katie,
No.
Julie.
Do you vote?
No.
I wish there was more time.
Vote no and do it again next month, because I love this. This is a blast. It's only 8:40 and we got some ways to go.
I mean, I don't work tomorrow.
Good for you.
I just, me personally, if I go by what I want, I would say that we redo zoning, but no one seems on board for that.
I think a lot of people are on board with that, actually, Julie.
If it passes, we'll keep working on it.
There's lots of things that we
You know, I just,
Deliberation is over.
People on it?
what was that?
Don't worry, don't worry about it.
No, I
Don't
actually
worry
wanna
about
know
it.
what she said.
She
I
said
actually-
deliberation was over, it's time to vote, not talk
Oh.
about it, so.
You called for a vote, that means
Yeah, I know.
deliberation.
That's not what I thought you said, but.
No, it's all
okay.
good, we're good, it's good, just vote.
You like a yes and a no?
No, it's not that.
It's not easy.
No, nobody's saying that. But you gotta make a vote. Either that or abstain.
You
I'm
can't
sorry.
abstain.
You can't abstain, make a vote. I'm sorry.
I
I
can't
should
abstain.
comment. No comment.
Make it call.
So if I vote yes,
It starts the process. It goes to the planning commission and it starts the process.
did any, and there's no more discussion. That's right, she said that.
Go on, discussion, vote no, and start it over again. Then you make the motion, or have Richard make it again, whatever. There's,
No, because it'll be the same thing over and over and over again. But at the end of the day, this takes it back to the people. It doesn't just go away, right?
no, it does not. It goes to the planning commission for review, and, they'll have a public hearing on it, they'll vote, and then if they
And then the
vote
people
yes,
get to
then
vote.
they, well, no, then it comes back to us for another discussion, another round of all this fun time. And then if we vote, you know, to eliminate it again, then it would be up to the, opposing side, so the people who are pro zoning, to file, to a petition. I can't remember the word, it starts with an R, anyway.
Referendum.
Referendum, thank you.
So if it goes to the people and the people vote yes, are we done discussing this all the time?
I doubt it.
You're on a board.
3 years.
You'll never stop discussing this.
When I vote yes, give it to the people.
Okay.
I just threw up.
All right. The vote, motion carries. The, petition, the idea has started. All right, since we're talking about this, I'm gonna, the zoning administrator asked for, direction on how to handle these violations that are out there. I'm gonna make a motion so we can talk about this. I'm gonna make a motion that he, enforces the rules as they stand right now, and, we can put a, what's the name on it? No, it's a delayed judgment, but basically leaves it hanging out there to see what happens with the, planning commission. But it makes it all official. And that includes, you know, in writing, violations, you know, that these individuals are in violation of the zoning. And, we can start that process rather than leaving it hang out there for months. So my motion is that he enforces the rules as they stand. And we go through that begin that process.
But they're both agenda items, they're both being addressed
Yep.
by the planning commission.
They are.
So this is not something that we're stuck in, just a non-compliance, this is both issues are works in progress, in my opinion.
They are. Any support?
Yeah, I'll support.
Oh, Marv supports, all right. Okay, now we can discuss.
So what the motion says is that the zoning administrator proceed with the process,
The
whatever that
the
is.
enforcement process of our zoning, regardless of whether the issue at hand is in the planning commission's agenda.
So anyone with a duplex is gonna be subject to a violation right now.
Yeah, send them. I mean, it's a violation, and it's against the rules, it's against the rules.
In everything but R1. obviously.
Correct, if there's,
In the
if
village.
it's in.
In the village.
In the village, so anything in ag, we got some in ag,
Ag,
we got
CR.
some in CR.
Mobile
Maybe,
homes,
I don't know anything about them, so you'll have to enlighten me. I told this to people when I ran for this office 5 years ago. We got rules, we should enforce them, and I think we should do that. We have the rule, let's enforce it. It was there for a reason, it should be enforced. And we can work out what the results are, but if you don't start the enforcement process, you'll never get anywhere.
If you don't, you're just encouraging,
Flipping
just
the nose
encouraging
at it.
behavior that doesn't comply with, how can I give a permit out to someone that says, yep, here's my drawings on the house. Yep, here's my setback from the sideline. I've got a narrow, I only have 10-foot setbacks from, because I'm down by the lake. And here's my drawings, this is where it's gonna be. And they go ahead and they build their house, and now they got, instead of, they didn't like that, maybe, hey, let's just creep that over. Instead of complying with the 10-foot setback from the eve edge, the house ends up being 7 foot. Oh, well, I guess we're just gonna let, it's already built, what are we gonna do? And that's hypothetical, okay, it hasn't happened to me, but you can't encourage it either. I mean, come on. The enforcement part of this job is the part I hate. Call me about a permit for a house or whatever, land division, fine, I'll help you out I don't wanna walk up to you and say with a citation book and say, hey, guess what, we're gonna have to go to court. Yeah, I really like that. So but you got the rules.
The other thing is, if you don't enforce it for one person,
Exactly.
the next person is either gonna assume the same thing, or they're gonna go to court and say, you didn't enforce it, so you don't have, judge, let's be fair.
I don't like it, but if you're gonna not abide by the rule, and we all know there's acts of omission and there's acts of commission, and neither one is an excuse to the law, right? Gosh, I didn't know it was 55 miles an hour here, I was doing 75, just like there, I had no idea. Or it's 55 and yeah, I got a new car, I'm gonna bust this speed limit, I'm gonna hit 90. Either one, you're getting a ticket. I don't know, makes my stomach turn.
I don't think anybody wants your job.
All right, anything else? Any other discussion? All right, those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, motion carries. Get after it. On the lighter fare, cemetery plot prices.
So I called around because currently we charge $25 for a resident and $300 for a non-resident. We have a lot of people calling from non-residents that are having their family members purchase at the resident rate. The cheapest around us is Echo Township at $250. And I wanna in the 70s, we charged $20. So I'm not saying that we go up to $300 or whatever, but we gotta go up to something.
What are
I gave you guys all a printout of the townships around us that I got a hold of.
what are happening to the plots? Are people buying them up, or they're all
Yeah.
gone?
We don't
'Cause
have
they're so
many
cheap,
left.
or what?
Yeah, cause they're so cheap. I had one lady, she bought 8. Now, there is a limit of 8 right now that you can only buy 8 at a time. That is in our ordinance. But I had one lady who bought 8 and then wanted to buy 8 more, just in case. Well, you can't. Our ordinance states you can buy 8. But she's gonna buy them for her kids down the road. Well, a lot of townships do it that, like, husband and wife can buy 2. Well, we have it that one individual can buy 8 by themselves. So then what happens is you have a lot of spaces that there are no bodies from years and years and years ago. right, but that's a hard process to reclaim those graves, and we are running out of space.
What's the process to reclaim?
It has to be 40 years or more, and you have to start by trying to reach out to the families to get them back, but you can only get them back for the original purchase price, which who knows what that was in the 1800s. And if they're even around, and how are you gonna find them, and then there's a waiting period. So there is a process, but, and then you don't know, is there a body there or is there not a body there, cause Gary fills in holes.
So could we change the process so that it,
No,
say
it's a state.
20 years?
It's a state.
So raising the fee to whatever amount, is that gonna
The whole
change
fee, the
anybody's?
whole fee for us, for buying cemetery plots is supposed to help cover offset the cost of the cemetery in itself and maintaining it. We're not even coming close.
Well, in Florida, it's $3,000, so I know, cause I got a daughter down there.
Elk Rapids is $1,200 for a resident, $1,500 for a non-resident. So their residents are calling us and buying them here, because even as a non-resident, it's $300. Well, that's a no-brainer. Central Lake is $300 for residents, $600 for a non-resident.
So there's really people that are buying plots so that they can get buried in a cemetery that has nothing to do with
Yeah,
them?
a guy called from Traverse City, had his daughter buy the plot for his brother who died. His brother, I think, lived in Traverse City. The brother just died and he wanted his brother buried here, so he called and he had his daughter pay for it, so it was $25, then his brother's buried here now.
Yeah, I think that's a shame. We shouldn't, I mean.
Cemeteries for
abusing
the community.
Yeah, that's for our community.
And I get,
So if the only
for
way to-
residents, like, I understand why it's been kept low, but it's not our residents are benefiting
Can
from
we
it
do
all.
something that kind of threads the needle a little bit here? It's like, you have to be a resident. Like, you get buried here, you either have to be one now, or we're one in the
A lot of
past.
townships have that. They won't even sell
Prove
it.
it out.
They don't sell to non-residents.
But if you're selling it to, let's say, the daughter here, in the example that you gave.
I would have to, but like that, for the daughter to buy it, then you would have to say, okay, so instead of the daughter being able to buy 8, the daughter can only buy 2, and that leaves it for her and her spouse.
But you could do you don't have to necessarily do that. You could say, you could have it be, there's a, okay, you can buy it at the resident rate. Whoever goes in that hole, it will have been a resident in this township at some point in their life. Because there should be a connection there. That's part of the whole community thing. And then we go to Gary, okay, who's being buried? I don't know, Joe Snuffy from West Georgia. Well, does he have any evidence that he was ever a resident of the township? Then they have to go back to the family, prove it. And nope, that's a resident-only plot.
I agree, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Okay.
So you just limit it to resident sales only then?
I don't
Not
like
necessarily.
that idea. I have family members, I have like 3 or 4 generations buried here, and I have cousins and such who have never lived here, but they might wanna be buried next to their ancestors and their family and
Okay.
be in a place. So you can have a connection to the place and never have lived here. You can have lots of family buried here.
No, I guess, I mean.
Well, I mean, if you wanna do that, set the rate for them at $3,000. If they wanna live here or get buried here, they can do it then.
Yeah, I mean, you could make a non-resident lot real expensive. That's probably not a bad move. I mean,
Bel
or
Air-
someone, maybe not non-resident, but not immediately connected.
So Bel Air does it that it is $375 for a resident, $375 for 1, or $1,000 for 4. Non-resident is $650 for 1, or $2,000 for 4. Max of 2 lots, which is 8 graves. Only taxpayers and their spouse may purchase the 2 graves.
So any of your renters they're not allowed to buy a grave. So what they're saying is only taxpayers?
Only taxpayers.
Right.
Which I see your point to wanting to be buried by your family even if you don't live in the area. You know, there's a lady that is burying her mom here because the family's here. She doesn't live here. The family's here, the plot is here. That's where she wanted to put her mom and dad. I just wanna up the rate from $25.
No.
Can we table this?
Yes,
Can we
we-
ta-
no, you
my
have to
mind
table
is
it. We're just
still
not making-
reeling with the big motion that was made tonight. Can we, I am in no mood to talk about cemeteries. Can we move through it and just get to things that are just
Yeah.
process mode?
There isn't much of anything, but yeah, sure, cemetery plots, we're moving on from that, same with the limits. Do we wanna do a RFP for insurance? I think Greg does a pretty good job, but, you know, it's not always a bad thing to keep people honest, so.
What's our policy date?
I think it starts in March, I think, it's in line with the fiscal year, I believe, but we can get that answer for you, Richard.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if we have plenty of time.
Yeah,
for the
6
renewal
months out,
date, we
probably.
can,
Okay.
come back to it.
All right. Okay. Streaming and uploading of meetings. Katie's brought it up before about, getting an owl, and streaming the meetings. There are so many pros and cons on both sides of that, to me. But I'm not necessarily opposed to doing it. I will say, I know people that have spoken up in meetings before, and they get people coming to their place of business to try to talk to them about these things, and I think that's egregious. And so I think you may see less participation at the meetings than more. But it's just a point of concern, so. Anyway, you had mentioned an owl before, and what'd you find out on?
I was up to my eyeballs in taxes this month, so I haven't moved the ball forward.
Do you wanna pause on that one as
Yep,
well for now?
yep.
Okay. All right, then that brings us to the, public comment policy, resolution. We already have public comment policy, but this would be a slight amendment to it. The resolution states, at a regular meeting of the Banks Township Board of Trustees, the following preamble and resolution was offered by Alex Bussman and Stephen.
Support.
Okay, support from.
I read it.
Marv.
This was the first time I saw it. I'd like this tabled also.
Fine, but I'm gonna read it now.
Okay.
Whereas, the Banks Township Board deems that it is in the best interest of the township to make certain policies regarding public comment during township meetings. Now therefore, be it resolved that the following policy shall govern the public comment period during regularly scheduled meetings of the Banks Township Board. As provided in the agenda, the township supervisor will open the floor for public comment. Members of the audience who wish to address the board will be asked to stand up and state their name and township of residence, and will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. Public comment is not meant to be a dialogue with the board. It is the public's opportunity to provide their comments to the board for consideration. And this is the big change. The minutes will reflect that public comment was heard. When everyone who chooses to comment has had their turn, public comment will be closed. Following completion of public comment, the supervisor or another board member will have the opportunity to respond to comments. The board may choose to respond at this time or elect to address the comments during another part of the meeting. And then it goes into, upon a roll call vote, the vote following voted, and the supervisor would declare the resolution adopted with immediate effect. So that is the motion, that is the resolution, and, so I've offered that, Marv supported it,
We'll talk about it next month.
and, Katie moved to table it. You support the table.
Support.
Marv supports the table. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of tabling this resolution until the October meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Okay.
Can I have a question?
Mhm.
That change you said, the minutes will reflect that public comment was heard. What are you saying there? Is that all that the minutes are going to say?
That will say, and that is from our attorney. He
Right.
says, when he does minutes, and this is what he recommends to all of his townships, when he does minutes, it just says, public comment was heard.
It doesn't start listing the
Nope,
names
doesn't
and what
list
they
names,
talked
doesn't
about?
list what they talked about or anything. It's just people offered public comment, and that was it. that's what that's all about, and we can talk about that some more next month. And, all right, so I will open the floor again to public comment.
Public comment?
Sure, Brad.
Just my experience with zoning. I had a fence that was too high for 12 years because of zoning. It was proper that I had lowered it. I lowered it. I went and got a horse, found out I shouldn't have a horse, got rid of the horse. I had an issue with, because of zoning, this helped me. We had a blight issue that wasn't just a blight issue, it was basically a heroin, crack, you know, whatever you wanted. And it was a junkyard. And because of blight, I was able to, with the blight issue and the people that were on the board at the time, get it cleaned up, and now the heroin's gone. So I'm just saying, please keep some zoning, you know, adequate zoning. So that's just.
Yeah. Thanks, Brad, appreciate that. Any other public comment?
Donna Harris,
Don?
Banks Township. First of all, I would like to say I would wish you would keep the zoning, amend it, work on it, tweak it, whatever works, but because it is a living document, but don't throw it out. I think this is, it will really reflect on the property values in the long run. And on your public comment policy, couple things. If I show up at a meeting, I want my name in the minutes that I was here. And if I stand up and make a comment, I want my name in the minutes, what I talked about, you know? And it doesn't have to be a verbatim thing, but give me some credit for being here and making a statement. And it also helps then with the history. When you go back to look about what are people talking about? What do they come to you with? If you have nothing in there but public comment was heard, from who? About what? You have no record of what the people are concerned with. So don't just throw that in there. That's too simple. Thank you.
My name's Gabrielle Urbanavage, and I'm a Banks Township resident. I live over on Rushton Road, like right on the edge of the township. Like literally I could walk to the sign that says this is a different township. And the township right there has no zoning, and there's like a house down there with like terrifying dogs and trash everywhere, and it's blight. And I don't want that any closer. It's already close enough. And we can't do anything about that because there's no zoning over there, but I don't want any more of that in my community, so I'm for zoning. That's all I'll say. Thank you. And, oh, wait, no, I do want to say one more thing, and thank you to the board for just taking a lot of time out of your day every month, not just during the meeting, but outside of it, to address all the public's issues. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
You would still maintain the nuisance ordinance.
Yeah, that's a totally different ordinance.
Which blight is under nuisance.
Correct.
So
Oh, okay, so never mind. I
So
still do support.
maybe, oh yeah.
As a side.
And also the fact that now, to speak to the public comment, if everything's being taped now anyway and saved, you've got the record. If someone really wants to go back and see what happened in October of 2025, there will be a video record of it. So
Unless
as far
I
as
get
keeping
sick and I can't come and stream the meetings then.
We're gonna talk about that again next month.
Or all of a
Maybe
sudden
we'll
my
look it up.
equipment goes wonky and you can't hear anything, which
Well, I mean,
does happen
if the township, if you end up getting, I'm assuming an owl is one that moves around. There's gonna be a digital copy of that going forward, so.
Which we know is
Yes, sir.
Bill Banks, I moved into Banks here about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Been a real estate broker for over 30 years. I worked for the United States Department of Ag, the Department of Agriculture, and States Conservation Districts as a land protection specialist. I guess first I'd like to ask if any board members have disclosed any potential interest that they have in the vote tonight, for the record, okay? You know, there's a lot of confidential deals that go down. There's wind, there's solar, there's gravel mine, there's development, there's money in all of that, we know that. None of that's bad, right? But the regulations, the zoning is important. I'm a zoning administrator. I was a zoning administrator for the city of Flint. I've seen the Wild West. I've seen what unregulated zoning can do, okay? I know that landowners need options and choices. They have rights. And those rights, a lot of times, we need to become more educated. Just to say the government is bad, that's one thing. And there is some government that is bad, but to look at the alternatives, the options, I think we talked about, mentioned for a newsletter and educating the public. Right now, it's critical to do that. It's extremely critical, because if you open the doors, eventually, to me, this is like a sandwich. There's two sides right now, and you're gonna stuff it full of peanut butter and jelly, ham, cheese, something, right? It's going in and it's coming in quick, right? And people are gonna devour it. My grandma and grandpa moved to Rolette, Michigan in 1916. And when I was 10 years old, I stood on his porch and he said, "You know what I could see here, Billy? When I built this house, 4 farms. That's all I could see." I moved from Lapeer County up here, and it's just spectacular. There's economics we get from farming. Look at how much it supplies the state from forest land, from recreation, okay? There's a huge economy here. There's a legacy that you've built here for generations, okay? Just my opinion, to wash that away. There's people that are gonna make a lot of money over this, okay? It's like, if you take the sign down for the kids, for the schools, I promise you I'll be there when they're running across the road, okay? Like, why are we doing this? There was a question asked that. Why are we doing this, right? Something's behind it, all of it. So, look into it. If you really want this legacy preserved, there's a myriad of ways to do this, through planning, through zoning, through working together as a community. You know, yes, some of this is correct, what he's reading with the petition, but without the other side, the education side, it's not good either, so, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Andrew Cook. Okay. Yes, Julie?
Julie Waterman, Banks Township resident. I'd like to thank the board for this lengthy discussion about zoning, because what this does is this tells all of us here and everybody watching, and it's going to watch, more precisely how each of you feel about zoning, and that's exactly what we need. We need to understand what your thought processes are, so it's clear. So I do want to thank you for that. I really appreciate hearing all of your comments tonight, even if I don't agree with them, I do appreciate it. Second thing is, Alex, I want to thank you, because nobody else here understands what it's like to serve on that ambulance authority board and what that agency is like inside. And I want to thank you very much for the effort you're putting forward for us, because I understand how difficult that can be. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Yes, Dina?
Tina Sandelius, Banks Township. That Jackson Hole thing that you talked about 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, I was covering a meeting in Charlotte County Commissioners, and a man from MSU came in and he said, in the next 20 years, you just watch, it's gonna be all vineyards and tap rooms. And we were all like, yeah, right. All of our farms are going
so I could've got jumped on that
I
bandwagon.
mean, there we were, and here we are. And so, I mean, I don't poo-poo the naysay, or the predictors, just because it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, and, as far as zoning goes, I have never thought about it either way. It has never affected my life in any way. I am the only residential house in the manufacturing district. I just live out there on the hill. It does bother me that if a house does pop up, it's right out the window that I watch the sunrise or sunset out of every single time. But that's not my property, so they can build their house on there if they want. I do want to say, being somebody who sort of, until I've been in a position here where I watch how this works, it would have never occurred to me to get a permit before I did something to my house. It's my house. I would have never crossed my mind. So I totally understand how that can happen. And I want to say that I appreciate the fact that you guys have tried really hard to make a mistake right. I don't think any other board would go to the lengths, and especially the poor planning commission would go to the lengths that you guys have gone to try and make it right, when somebody has made a mistake. And I really hope one day, if and when I make a mistake, I've got you got my back. Because you know, I mean, we all just do what we do, we don't know all the rules. So I wanna say thank you, that's it.
Thanks, Tina, appreciate that. Anybody else? Yes, Jesse?
All right, so this one's more directed to Katie. I know when I came to the meeting here and I talked to you about, I brought you up in regarding to your zoning board, the appeal for getting your addition, right? Kind of caught you off guard on that. Do you, at the end of that meeting, you had asked Alex why I chose you, and you wanted to know why. And I tried calling you, and you didn't reply my call. And I was told because you would want legal representation present to talk to me. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so do you see why, for Patrick, and your houses are very similar. Your house was built prior to zoning. Your house is within the setback. Both very, very similar. You were not on the board at the time, nor was he.
No.
Correct, so
Right.
very, very similar. The accusation that I'm accused of making is that you got special treatment because you were on the board, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you weren't on the board,
No.
but you still did get special treatment because your thing was permitted. Now, whether it was special treatment on your behalf or the zoning board of appeals, a permission was granted for a variance. That in of itself is a special treatment. You did get a variance.
Yeah.
That was my thing. That's why I chose you. That's
And
why.
you said the attorney was against it.
Not getting into any of that because.
I wish you would clarify
I'm not getting into any of
that.
that because you're gonna bait me into it. Not going into that. So,
No.
my other thing I'd like to talk about, since it's my time, is this whole videoing of the meeting, right? And it is very hard because I did have a whole bunch of people come to my place of employment. They did harass me at work. I did have to tell people to leave my place of employment because of it. We shouldn't be bullied or fear to be able to come in here and state anything that isn't true. The information that I brought to the board was out of a FOIA. That was true, and you can look up whatever I said on there. Dave and Donna, I'm sorry I brought that up. However, if we're going to sit here and go toe for toe and fight the law, be even on all the same things, we need to be even on all the same playing fields. So that's why I chose those. I have nothing against Dave and Donna, they're wonderful people. I have no problems with duplexes in our township. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with you having your addition on your house. That was new construction, not a replacement. I have no problem with any of that. But I want transparency and fairness on both sides. That's why I chose that. And I did try to call you and you refused to return my call.
I got a variance before I started building. I jumped through all the hoops first. And if I hadn't gotten the variance, I wouldn't have done it. And in 2016, I made application, my husband's here too. We made application to put a roof over our front steps. And the attorney said no. And I didn't do it. And we didn't do it. So that's probably this attorney thing you're thinking of that was in opposition to me getting a variance.
Not sure, I think that was the one you
I'm
filed
not
for
sure why
special
you would
use on
ever,
there.
I'm not sure why you would ever have access to an attorney letter, cause you don't.
Did not.
Okay, so I don't know, that was
No.
the confusion why you
No,
quoted,
the
you
attorney
said-
thing that you're talking about was me talking to my brother-in-law. That, I took that out of context, it was a different conversation. I'm sorry for that.
Okay.
And I tried to call you and tell you that, but
Well, you
refused
should
to
have,
answer.
you had an option, you had a couple meetings to publicly rescind those statements and correct them. Meanwhile, the damage was done, right? You made people think that my husband and I had done something and gotten some special treatment, and you also shed some very negative light on the good people that were sitting on the ZBA in 2002, which was 2 full years before I was even a board member.
I wanted to publicly come here and tell you why I chose your property, because they are almost identical situations.
No, no.
They are very much identical.
No.
The only difference is that you
All right.
filed it beforehand.
All right. Any other public comment? Dave?
I just want to address the $250,000 spent over the last 5 years on zoning. That's about 50 grand a year divided by the 2,000 tax parcels in our township. It costs $25 per tax. 250,000 is a huge number. $25 is a trip to McDonald's. it's not breaking the bank for people. And there's a lot of valuable information that comes from that money that's been spent that potentially could save money down the road. So does it cost money? Yes. It costs more money to keep rehashing the same old thing over and over and over again. So if we could get to a point where we can agree on some sensible zoning, the problems should go away. The attorney fees, the planning commission load is less. The Beckett and Rader's involvement is less. The money does go down. It doesn't cost that all the time. So I just, that's all I can say.
Yeah, good. Anybody else?
Can I add something if you don't mind? The
I'd
subdivision.
rather
control
not,
act-
but.
Subdivision Control Act, Public Act 288 of 1967. There was a bill that went through, I think, a legislature that will allow 10-acre parcels to be split into 10 1-acre parcels. So if that goes through without zoning, the state will determine this land splits under the Subdivision Control Act.
Yes.
And,
It's coming down the pipe.
and if I can just piggyback on that, the local zoning, I don't know, what's a good word, but could preempt that,
Yeah.
right? Am I right on
Zoning in
that?
place.
If you have it in
If
your
If it's in
zoning,
place.
if it's in
Yes,
place.
correct.
Or in a parcel division
It's in
ordinance.
place.
Is that-
Or in a parcel division ordinance.
Yeah, right.
One more comment.
Steve, you haven't, you've been spoken in the second public
If
comment,
you-
have at it.
If you don't think developers are not paying very close attention to what's happening at the state level right now, as you guys are referencing, think again. These guys, land development's huge. There's millions and millions and millions of dollars. We're talking an acre that could be sold for $6,000 an acre right now. I could split up into $35,000 to $40,000 per acre, minimum, in what's happening in our markets right now. Luxury developments, things like that, big developers are calling us now, and they're having us scout out and look for development potential, Lakeview. I mean, I've got topography maps we're pulling out. We're looking for developments, 1,000 acre. These guys have money and more money than you can imagine to work with. All they're looking for is a farm field that has lake views, no cost to remove trees. Excavating costs are reduced to peanuts compared to tearing into trees. So when you start talking farms, what's the value of a farm? It's land, it's development. It will hit our area. It is already happening. And when they say rapid pace, look at Traverse City. Look at 25 years in Traverse City. I mean, 25 years ago I moved up here. Traverse City, you could walk down Munson on Sunday and not get ran over. Today you wouldn't even dream of trying that. So we can turn our head to zoning because it can solve some short-term problems. And it will solve some short-term problems, and it will bring some development, and it will bring some things to happen that wouldn't have happened otherwise. But at what risk? And at what long-term problems will we be paying for down the road with not having zoning that we will pay for and greatly make up for in lawsuits and attorney fees? Ellsworth Lake now sells at $1 million. Come on, guys. $1 million, a house on Ellsworth Lake. Who would have ever thought we would have properties on the small chain that would sell $1 million? 10 years ago, that was a pipe dream. It's reality today. So what we think might not happen can happen very quickly if we're not on guard. Kingsley was off guard. Kingsley got mowed over in 2007, 8, and 9 developments. Once the slippery slope starts, you can't stop it. You can't tell one developer yes and one no. You guys know that. Kingsley is a whole different community today. I don't know if you've been through there, but it's greatly different than what it was. We don't want to lose what we have here. We have a whole master plan designed not to. Think hard.
Is that happening in Central Lake?
Is what happening in Central Lake?
Just the things that you've been describing. because Central Lake doesn't have zoning for the last 5 years, so this
Are they
is-
looking at the Central Lake areas to do certain developments? No, because their investments can't be safeguarded. So are they looking at those communities to do this stuff in those areas? No. Will they have the tax base? No. So we have a lot to think about in the future. So if you're talking Central Lake no zoning, buyers coming into our area, they're hesitant to purchase a home on the lake in Central Lake Township, guaranteed. Because what can go next door? Bed and breakfast, Airbnb, anything. So you got, you know, when you live in Central Lake Township and not having control, some things can happen. They've been pretty lucky, but they haven't been zoned. So the buying premise from those residents hasn't had zoning as a factor. We have already had zoning as a factor in our community. People have purchased homes, people have purchased businesses with the premise that zoning is already in place and that there won't be implications of negative aspects of no zoning. So we're already in that zone of zoning. Going backwards is definitely not, I don't think this is healthy for our community at all.
So, can you explain why they can't safeguard their investment? I misunderstood. Why wouldn't a developer come into town, into Central Lake?
Into Central Lake?
Yeah.
You put some.
I mean, there's a big farm, well, it doesn't have lake views, I guess.
Well,
That
you
one
can't
on the
safeguard what's gonna
corner.
go in next door to you. So do you put $1 million homes in knowing you can have a pig farm next door?
You can have that in Banks Township, we have a right to farm, so that's
You have a right
immaterial,
to farm.
totally.
But your potential pool of investors to invest in those areas is less, there's no doubt. Look at Petoskey.
That's what we want.
Is that what you want?
We want less investors, you bet, we wanna keep what we've got, absolutely. You just spoke.
You just said you can't farm. You just said you can't produce farm, you can't,
I said
new
that.
generation, sorry, Dan. All right. But the new generation of farmers isn't there. So what happens to that land? What is a farmer to do with their land if their family isn't to invest into it?
So what's your point? It seems like you're
I'm
saying.
asking, he's asking what's the point of an investor not buying the land? But if we have farms all around us
That aren't being farmed.
that aren't being farmed, what is a
So are we
farmer
gonna
to do with
force
that
the
land?
farmers to keep that land vacant through zoning?
You're protecting open space by zoning versus density.
Right.
So
But if you don't farm it, you have to pay a higher tax rate,
Well, sure.
correct? If you're ag, and you don't farm it,
There's yes, there is
you have
zoning
to pay
ordinances
a
in
higher
place.
tax rate.
Unless your house is on it.
And that's where we need to get
If
creative.
your house is on an 80-acre parcel, my parents are homestead, they don't pay, they got the exemption for all 80 acres.
And this is where the
because
zoning
the
needs to
home is
get
on it.
creative.
But if you have extra pieces of land, you got 80 over there, congratulations, you know, you're not hurting if you got big vacant pieces of land. But if, it can lay fallow for a year or two, but if you're not farming it, yeah, you don't get an ag exemption.
Thanks, Steve. Anybody else? All right, any board comment?
Yeah, I have one more thing. I just wanted to thank Alex for taking a meeting like this, saying the tough things when there's things come up that you don't agree with, but they're the truth. You have brought that out several times, and you have led this meeting well, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Support.
I'm trying. Thank you guys for that.
You didn't get it from me.
I think you make a pretty good supervisor.
Anything else, anybody? Well, thank you all for coming. I wish you all safe travels home, and see you next month, or at the planning commission meeting, or whatever comes before us.
I'm gonna go in there too and get my stuff. Do you have to get a lunch?